I think I did. Hey there. Okay, we're live. I thought I sent it to you. I'll forward it to you. It's great. It's a lot of fun.
Was it?
Well, actually,
It was disjointed because it kept cutting out and going back on.
yeah, but you know what? Like the conversation was still a fun conversation.
It was.
I've heard I don't listen back to them, but I heard positive feedback from a couple of friends that listened to it. They're like, "Oh, who's Dan?" And then when I posted, I posted that you were a teacher and a flight attendant and owned real estate. That's an entrepreneur.
It's just a little bit of
A little bit of what you
a little
do.
bit of what I
And
do.
so, so my friends that were my friends that were looking like, who is this dude? Like, it's such a
Yeah,
it's
I've
such
had
an
so many
interesting.
like, random things.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's actually we were just talking about the vacation.
Want to try some of this?
Just got back from. Yeah, sure.
Tequila?
That sounds great.
Yeah. Got back from your
I looked up-
vacation.
Yeah, so my I went with my daughter who's now 17, and so when my kids are over 18,
Mm-hmm.
I put them through the welcome to Abba. This is like you didn't know me, and
Now
so
you're
now,
now you're an adult.
You're an
Yeah.
adult. So I started sharing a little bit with her because she's going to be 18 in March,
Yeah.
and she just like she had no idea that I had done like some of the crazy things that
That's
I've done.
so
Like,
interesting. Were you excited to have the conversation with
yeah,
her?
it was fun. It was just, but it was completely organic. Like it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like I just started talking about it. It was like on, in the flow, in the general flow of the conversation. I don't remember what happened. I remember we were watching some
This was on your trip, just
on our trip. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it was at night, and we had the fire going and whatever. We were chilling, and so we were watching. I got back into something I used to watch when I was a long time ago, like 20 years ago. There was a show on HBO called 6 Feet Under,
Yeah, sure.
and it's a great show.
I haven't watched it. I know it's what put them on the map.
It's so funny and dark, like
Mm-hmm.
really dark.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's about the family that owns
the funeral.
the funeral home,
Yeah,
right? And
it's
then
brilliant.
yeah.
The one of the lead actors is the guy who played Dexter. Everybody knows Dexter.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, but I know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dexter's also brilliant show.
What's that about?
And that's about a serial killer who is who has a job as he works for the police department.
No way.
As a blood specialist in like the um, the guys who like they do all the like they determine what happened at the scene.
Yeah.
Crime scene investigators, CSI guys.
The coordinator?
Crime scene investigators.
Okay.
Yeah, so he does blood spatter, so because that's like
No way. That's
forte,
crazy.
and so he knows the police like what their standards are. So he can hunt. And his father's a cop and knew that he was a serial killer.
No way.
And like trained him to like hunt bad guys, and so that's what he does. So he hunts bad guys who escape the the law system, use the law system to their
Sure.
advantage and get off for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And he goes.
He's like a vigilante.
He's a vigilante. He's a vigilante serial killer.
But
And
is he
it's a
evil?
really good show. Oh, no, he's got a little bit of evil. I mean, can you be a serial killer or not? He's broken inside.
Right.
I mean, that's what it's about. He has this desire.
I don't think
desire for blood, and he gets off on it. And
it's crazy.
But it was really good. It's a really good show. Yeah. I mean,
I don't
you
think
get
they
so
should be allowed to hire someone named Dexter. I feel like it's too much of a giveaway that they're probably a psychopath.
Anyway, to come
Yeah.
full circle, we were watching 6 Feet Under, and there was this scene.
What'd she think of it? Did she like it?
She loves it.
She loves it. Awesome.
It's a great show.
Yeah.
It's a great show. The only problem with it is that, you'll learn this. It's different when you have boys, but when you have girls, like you're much more sensitive.
Especially HBO.
Yeah, exactly, to like sex scenes
Yeah.
and things like that, and you don't want to expose them to that.
Mhm.
And so, like, almost in the opening scene, there's like
Yeah.
a hardcore, and I was like, "Oh my
no.
God, I didn't remember."
Yeah.
I'd seen it 20 years,
Oh my
and I was like,
goodness.
"Oh no, what did I just expose my
Oh
kids
my
to?"
gosh.
It was not as bad as one of the previous ski trips that I went on with my children, all three of them.
Yeah.
We were watching
Don't say Wolf of Wall Street.
no
Oh, okay.
Airplane,
Okay.
which you'd think is it's rated PG, it's a totally clean
Mhm.
show, right? And sometime in the middle, there's the boob scene.
I didn't even know. I didn't watch it.
You never watched Airplane? Oh, that is a classic that you must see. It's
Okay.
one of the funniest movies ever made.
I know it is.
So,
yeah.
yeah,
It's the
it's
father of
brilliant.
slapstick comedy, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. Leslie Nielsen, I mean, it's just a brilliant, brilliant show. So the that's there's this one scene where like they're like preparing to crash
Hmm.
and everybody's going crazy and there's like there's like the whole airplane is shaking, so there's like a scene of like a woman just like full screen boobs, naked boobs, right in the middle of the screen, just like
No
bubble bubble
way,
bubble bubble.
really?
Yeah, and I'm like, this is rated PG, and I'm like covering my
It's
son's eyes.
PG?
PG.
How did it happen?
PG from the 70s. I don't know. It was a
Wow.
different rating. I had no idea. It was
That's
totally
crazy.
unexpected.
But I feel like everyone is more sensitive.
I thought so too. That's what I figured. I was like, it's going to be cleaner. Nuh-uh. No
I felt
way.
like there was more innuendos, but
Uh-huh.
there wasn't less. But there's less explicit stuff. You know, like the innuendos were very not subtle.
Rated PG, full screen boobies. Right in the
Really,
middle. Yeah.
straight nudity.
Straight nudity.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's
It
bizarre.
was so surprising to me because I
It's
hadn't
like
seen that
sticking nudity in like the
in
sound of
forever.
music, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
It was really funny. I mean, it was funny that I was so embarrassed.
yeah,
You know,
totally, totally. I don't know how
and
to
they
do
were
it. I don't know
little.
how
They
to
were
handle
little
it.
kids.
I don't know how to handle that kind of
Yeah.
scenario. Even with like my dad and my grandfather, like you watch a movie and like I don't know, like I know that like we both just act. No, my mom. If my mom's around, my mom yells to skip it. You
So
know.
So
Um,
we were watching this show, and there was this scene with. There's a lot of. It was before woke, but there's still a lot of homosexual stuff going
okay,
on. Like
sure.
one of the main characters is gay,
Hmm.
and he's there's a lot
What
of
show? What movie is this?
the 6 Feet Under.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. Well, that's because there's HBO too.
Yeah, and
HBO was always pushing the envelope, like
yeah,
whenever
for
they
sure,
could.
100%. And so there was a lot of agenda type stuff, but it's still a great show despite all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so there's this one scene where they're at a gay bar, and the bartender is like really rocking the bar, like he's
Hmm.
flipping bottles, and he's working three different groups at the same
Hmm.
time, and it's a really cool scene. And I was like, and I told her I was like, I did that one night. I was a bartender in a gay bar
Really?
for one night. Yeah, I mean, you knew I was a bartender.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
I knew you were a bartender. You were a bartender. I think I remember this. Hang on, in grad school,
Yeah, undergrad and grad.
undergrad and grad.
Undergrad and grad, yeah, yeah. Actually started when I was 19.
Okay.
Started when I was 19, working in a country club and a golf club
Okay.
in North Shore, Long Island.
And you were pre med at the time, right?
I was pre-med at the time.
So you were taking pre med classes and bartending on the side.
I was bartending outside. That's how I paid for
You
school.
make good money.
Yeah, I made great money.
You make great money
Yeah, I made great money. I mean, I took a huge pay cut when I started teaching.
in general.
In general, yeah. I mean, I was working 4 nights a week, and I was bringing in really great money. But
Mostly tips, right?
yeah, yeah. When you're working a
Were people
bar,
always generous with tips? Typically.
it depended on where I was. When I was when you're at the country club, generally they're very generous with tips. Especially if you're working like a late night and there's like a card game going on and you're just hooking people up and the guys are winning and
Yeah, I'm
throwing
feeling
you-
good. Yeah.
so you can make really good money. If you're working a club, like I worked there were a few nights that I worked nightclubs in New York City because I worked for this.
How would you get those jobs? How would they get to hire you?
I worked for this company called New York Cater Waiters,
Mm-hmm.
and I was a bartender for them. And we used to do weddings and all kinds of events, private events, parties, whatever, all kinds of things. And I, when I was, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
When I was uh, working for them, they would oftentimes call me up, be like, "We got a call from these people. They need a
Gotcha.
sub. They need a fill in."
So they're almost a broker.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they'd get jobs, and then you'd be
They're
on
an
their
agency.
you'd be on the agency. They'd be on the list of the
Exactly.
bartenders. Cool. So
So I got called one time to work this nightclub in New York City. It was a gay nightclub.
cool.
And
Was it fun?
It was so much fun. It was so much fun, and I was wearing like a black muscle shirt,
Yeah.
and everybody was just trying to.
You're
get me
playing
to take
football
my
at the
shirt
time,
off,
right?
Playing football at the
Yeah.
time, and I was in really good shape. And I was hit on, like, and they all knew I was straight, and that just made me like unattainable,
Yeah.
which made me more attractive.
Oh my
And
God.
so like it was like their mission to try to get to turn me, you know.
Yeah.
And the tips were flowing. I think I brought in like $1,700 cash
That's
that night, one
crazy.
night, and that was in the 90s. Like, that
Yeah.
was a lot
That's
of
a lot of
money.
money.
It's a lot of money back then. It was the most money I'd
That's a mortgage.
ever made.
It's a mortgage payment.
It could be back then. It was for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a joke.
Now
But
it's a joke,
yeah,
but
maybe a rental payment. You know,
maybe a month's rent.
month's rent.
Maybe a month's rent, depending where you live in the world.
Yeah,
You know.
I think my monthly rent was like $600 or $700 back then. So it was a
It's
lot.
always shocking me when I hear. But then my brother-in-law told me that he's got like a 4-bedroom house in Davie, actually on like 66th near Sheridan area. So like right by where Base Mordecai is, but closer to Sheridan. And he's like, yeah, we got a pool, we got a 4-bedroom house. What do you think of this?
I just try. I'm still drinking the scotch.
Oh, it's a double barrel reposado. But
Rinse it out a little bit.
sure. They're paying like $750, $800 a piece. So they're
How
paying
many guys?
2 guys, and they have a
That's it?
4-bedroom house. And I'm like, what? Like I haven't
insane.
heard of anyone paying that little for rent, in forever. But I guess my only experience is wanting to rent in the heart of like Jewish areas where it's just so
Well,
expensive.
that's almost the heart of a Jewish area.
Yeah, but it's a mile down the road. A mile makes a big
Yeah,
difference.
it does make a big difference.
Especially in Florida, where because a mile separates communities.
Mhm.
I mean, you're not walking there. You're not taking your kids there. You're not going to any parks there. Like, you're going as close to, at least for half the year, going as close to yourself as possible.
So I have a friend who's remodeling. He's redoing his house,
Yeah.
and he's actually adding an addition and gutting the entire thing, and really, it's like buying a new house.
Yeah.
And so he's out of his house already for a year.
Do people usually have their mortgages paid off when they do like giant jobs like that, or do they have to take out another loan, or
The home ec loan is.
that's what home equity loan is?
Yeah.
And you just tack that on to like your monthly payments along with your mortgage and your whatever. Like,
Yep. That's how it works. I did it a couple times.
it's not overwhelming. It's not like to have like that extra loan. Is it typically short? I'm sure it's usually shorter
It's
than your
short
mortgage.
term. Yeah, it's short term.
It's shorter term.
Under 5 years,
Right.
usually.
Right. So I'm just trying to think in advance, like how I'm going to be able to handle all this kind of stuff, dude. I have no idea what I'm
You'll
doing.
figure it out.
Yeah, that's what I'm starting to figure out. Is
Yeah.
that I will? Is that like I've somehow managed to find my way here until now, and I think it's just all figuring it out.
Well, my friend David rented this place that is, I mean, he bikes to and from shul now. He used to walk to shul.
Yeah.
So now he bikes to shul. He doesn't bike to shul on Shabbos. He has
Yeah.
a long walk on Shabbos.
Or the scooter?
But no, he doesn't scooter. He goes,
Yeah.
They don't allow scooters at Heichal.
No, they don't allow them.
Rabbi is so against it.
He says you're not allowed to.
Well, what he says is, he's like, he doesn't paskin that you're not allowed to.
But if you were to ask him, he would say it's.
He said, we don't hold by scootering. I'm not going to tell people not to scooter because there are too many rabbis in the neighborhood that allow it. But he said, if you look at the people who scooter versus the people who don't, I want to be with the people who don't.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
I mean, that's how he phrases it.
That's okay. I hear.
And there is definitely a dichotomy: the people who do and the people who don't. You see the difference in lifestyle. So I kind of ride that line.
Yeah.
So
do I.
I don't want to be typecasted in any way.
I hate it, by the way.
Don't stereotype
I'm the
me.
same way.
Yeah, don't stereotype me. Don't put me in a box. I am not. I never fit in, but I always fit in.
Yeah. I feel the same way.
I fit in with every community. I feel appreciated by every community. I feel loved by every community, and I love every community.
Yeah.
And so,
but you're not them. You're yourself.
I'm not judgmental. They can be.
Forget about judgmental. You're not. Meaning you're just you.
You're just you. I am. Yeah.
You're just you. Yeah.
I'm gonna wear my cowboy boots.
It's funny. I was talking. So I did a solo episode yesterday, just talking by myself. But
that's yummy.
Isn't it great?
Yeah, it's like you can taste pineapple.
Herradura
tastes like pineapple.
Amazing.
This is Herradura.
This is Herradura.
Oh, I love Herradura.
I'm sorry. It's a double barrel.
You introduced me to Herradura.
I know. Their Ultra Anejo is incredible.
For the price, there's no better
$50, tastes like butterscotch.
There's no better tequila for the money.
I'm
Period.
so happy that you're saying that
It's
because
my
I've been
favorite.
saying
I've
that.
passed that on to so many people
Have
since you
you?
gave it to
I'm
me. Yeah.
so
And they're
happy.
all impressed. Every
Yeah, because
single
it's
one.
really amazing.
It's such a good quality.
And it's the best 60. It's one of the, I can't think of many other bottles that you get for $60 that's that good for $60
Of anything.
of anything. That's what I'm thinking. I mean, $60 of alcohol. I guess
Rum.
hard alcohol.
Rum.
Okay, fine, but I guess that's because rum tiers
I
kind
have
of go till
I have a
then.
21-year rum in my house in the mountains that is
What?
so good.
But what does it taste? How does that taste so different from? I guess is it spiced rum? Is it?
No, it's a dark
It's a dark rum.
rum, but it's aged and it's so there's no.
I like rum.
Yeah, I like rum too.
I think rum is good. I think it's underrated.
It is underrated.
It's
Yeah,
definitely underrated, right?
I always have rum in my bar.
You know what's fun, by the way? Making cocktail shots. So like shots in like cocktails in 3 or 4 ounces. I took my sister-in-law for her 21st birthday. My wife and I took my sister-in-law to Speakeasy in Fort Lauderdale, and they made the mixed drinks and they did cocktail shots.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was like tequila, ginger, and honey. And like a shot that, and my sister-in-law was blown away. She was like, I have,
That sounds great.
yeah. And then it was vodka, white chocolate, and peppermint, and it was like peppermint schnapps
It's almost
shot.
like it's like a
It's so good, dude. Those are so much
chocolate
fun to make.
peppermint. I mean, it sounds delicious.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible.
Sounds
These are cocktail shots, and they're $8 a shot, which is the same price as getting a shot almost anywhere costs, right?
Yeah.
But you get a cocktail,
But they're quality.
and it's so
Any
great.
cocktail for $8 is a great price these
Yeah,
days.
yeah.
I mean, I get it. You go to any restaurant, a cocktail is going to be $15 to
It's
$18,
insanity,
which is
dude.
crazy. Which is why I can't. I mean, I'll have one drink. I won't go to drink.
Yeah,
I won't go out to drink.
yeah.
I'll have one drink with dinner, and that's it.
So, dude, there's a place that I go to. I will go there one time, if you want, but it's called Crazy Uncle Mike's. It's in Boca, and it's technically a brewery, but they have a full, like a great bar, and they make like quality cocktails. Like the cocktails aren't like just throw whatever margarita syrup with a cocktail. Like
I'm
with
down as
alcohol.
long as they don't serve food.
And they serve food there.
Yeah, you know me.
And
It's my pet peeve.
but there's a kitchen. It's a separate kitchen. Meaning you have a bar that's where everyone just with just the drinks, and then in the back of the place there's a kitchen separately.
It's separate, yeah. Okay.
And the bartenders make, and at happy hour, which is I think 5 to 7, I think it's like $6 or $7 cocktails. But these are like top shelf. These are like good ingredients. Like these are like you taste them and like. You know the difference between a cocktail that's made with good ingredients versus one that's made with syrup. It's just a whole different world. I know, yeah. So
100%.
So I went, and
I'm all about
the band started at 7. I got there at 6:30.
quality,
I got there
like
at 6:45. I got like 2 or 3 different drinks just to sit at the table with, right? Because I knew that I'd be there for 2 hours or 3 hours, and I just sat there with these, $7
such a good
old fashioned. Isn't it? These cigars are awesome.
Yeah, they are.
This
Monte
is the best.
Cristos, there's no better than Monte Cristos. It's my
Dude,
favorite.
I mean,
such quality.
Next time I go to Costco like twice a week.
Do you?
Yeah, I love.
I mean,
Costco.
I'm set. I got even though I brought almost half my cigars to Israel already.
Okay.
I still have.
You brought them with you?
Yeah, I packed them, brought them with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're allowed to bring. I think before you have to claim them, I think you're allowed to bring 20 maybe
cigars.
So, yeah. So before you have to claim them from customs, so I'd bring a box every time I went. So I have I have like 2 or 3 boxes, like 60 cigars, something like that.
Nice.
And
you got a good humidor there?
I have a humidor. It's a little one. It holds I think it holds 20 cigars. So it's maybe holds 30 cigars, something like that.
No, it's 30.
So it's about this big.
So what do you do with the ones that can't be there? It can't be they don't fit in the humidor.
Well, I only brought what I had enough space for.
Yeah.
So I mean, I bring you know me.
You can't really buy.
I smoke a lot.
There's not, yeah, but also there's not so many great places I know of in Jerusalem to buy cigars.
Yeah, there is.
Really?
There's 2 places.
So why do you bring with you?
Because they're so much more expensive there.
That's why.
Yeah, I mean they're really expensive. But when I wanted
with the place in in the Mamila Mall.
No,
That
that place is
Indian outside.
so overpriced.
My uncle has like a what do you call it? A locker there.
Oh, does he?
Yeah,
It's a nice place. It's
it's
really
all right.
small. It's
I
really
mean,
small.
it
There's a much better place to get
it
some.
just it's so. I,
Right outside Manila
it
Mall.
bothers me when you have something that like is so flagrantly and blatantly absurdly expensive
Yeah.
just for the sake of it,
It's
and
four
like
times what it should be
yeah,
at that.
easy,
Four times.
easy, and like but people just do it because like they do it, and
Yeah. So,
it
so
bothers it doesn't bother me to get something quality that's more money. It bothers me to get something that's not quality and pay extra just because you could pay extra.
so when it's nice, so I'm always there for Pesach and Sukkot,
Mm-hmm.
and I try. I was there this summer, but I try not to be there for the summer. It's just too hot. Um,
Are you going back this summer or no?
so we're hopefully moving. We're going for Pesach, and I'm hopefully going to sell my house.
Yeah.
And if my house sells, I'm
Has
actually
this week been busy because a lot of families are down from New York or no?
no, unfortunately not. We had one showing on Sunday, and where he's expecting an offer, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Right.
We had one real offer that we started negotiating with, and they just pulled out because I think I mean, we're still low.
Okay. Well, listen. I mean,
It's not, it hasn't even been listed a month.
right. I was gonna say you have plenty of
Yeah,
time,
exactly. I
and
have
it's
till
a great
June.
house, and it's a very popular area.
Yeah, it is. I think it'll be fine. So there's the place outside of Mamila Mall. When you come out of Mamila Mall onto King David,
When you're walking up the hill towards Yafa.
you don't have to walk up the hill. When you come out of Mamila Mall on King David,
Yeah.
you go up those steps,
Yeah.
right by
Yeah.
the
There's a
subway
supermarket right
station
across the
place.
street. Right. You can cross
There's
the
a
street.
supermarket right
You're
on
by the intersection. Yeah.
that supermarket.
Has a
No,
cigar shop.
no, that supermarket. If you walk to the left of that supermarket and
Uh,
start walking up, but it's on the same
yeah.
around
I
that
know exactly what you're
corner.
talking about.
There's a cigar shop
Yeah.
on the other corner.
I've been there.
That's a good cigar shop.
Well,
That's a good cigar shop.
it's a good cigar shop because it's got selection, but it's expensive.
It is.
It's not a cheap place.
Mm-mm.
They
But
just have a lot of
they have
cigars, and the guy knows what he's doing.
amazing quality stuff. And if you buy something that's on sale, you can get a good deal. Like they have some really good quality cigars that I only buy what's on sale, and but I generally because it's a 2 minute walk from my apartment.
Yeah.
I'll go there and get cigars. But if you want a good cigar shop that has good prices, there's a place in Harnof. I'll send it to you. You
Oh my
text.
god.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know that I'm going to. I'm going to Israel in the summer when my best friend is getting married.
Oh,
I have to
Mazel
go
tov.
to it. Yeah. I mean, I want to go, but I also have to go. But that's
If I'm
right
there, you
after
come see me.
Rachel's. That's right after Rachel's due.
Oh, wow.
So
So you'll have a new baby.
yeah, if we can find a way to
Tell her to hold
swing,
off.
if we could swing a way to get to New York,
Mm-hmm.
I would feel a lot more comfortable staying for like a week instead of like 2 or 3 days, because my mom would be around to help, and my dad. There's more family in New York that I wouldn't feel so bad being gone for a bunch of days, a month after the baby's born.
I see.
But if I can't, then I'm really gonna have to make it like leave Saturday night, come
You
back
fly in and
Monday.
out.
Mm-hmm.
That sucks.
Which I don't want to do. I want to go. I want to
So
go.
expensive right now.
No. Well, it's actually getting cheaper because more airlines are flying there now since the ceasefire agreement.
I'm hoping to find. I'm hoping to book tickets. In the next
You know,
month or two.
someone was telling me that apparently my brother, my one of my good friends, his name's Avi Shatzkis, great dude, and his son-in-law's in the Israeli army, and he was saying that they're opening an airport up north by like Netanya area,
They are. Yeah.
and they're going to be flights to Europe and
It's like
cheap
in Haifa.
Haifa, and there's going to be cheap flights to Europe.
Yeah.
And so what we can do is if you find a cheap flight to Prague, or you find a cheap flight to Paris or whatever it is, and then you go to Haifa, you could do it for like $100, So like you can really like it gives you a really
Is it
affordable
open
way.
yet?
What?
Is it open yet? The
I
airport
don't
in Haifa?
know.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I know that they're working on it. I think that they realize that they really need it since the war started and no one's been able to go, and it's just been El Al charging $2,500 a ticket. Like
It's absurd.
it's insanity. I mean, and listen, like they're the only airline flying, so like what are you gonna do?
Right.
But
Exactly. Which they shouldn't be allowed to. In America, they wouldn't stand for that. It's
what do you mean?
Well, it's against monopoly regulations.
Well, only in an emergency time of war, meaning right now there's technically a war happening, so technically they probably
Technically, about it, there's a war happening.
right, there's a war happening. There's a war happening, so main commercial airlines probably can't even if they wanted to go to Israel. Like you can't fly into a war zone. Can't fly into a place where you're getting rocketed hundreds of times a day and
El Al does.
right. So that's the only one that does. But I guess it's because that's that own. Is that all?
It's private.
It's private.
Yeah.
Something to do with Israel. But the other ones, I guess, are public. United's public.
Right. Right.
British Airways is public.
Right.
American Airlines is public. All these airlines, they can't afford to. I don't even know if they'd be allowed to legally, like fly commercial flights into a war zone.
If the government says they can't, they can't. But Israel didn't say they can't.
But shareholders don't have an influence on that. Like you can't. There might be a different set of responsibilities, or
I don't think shareholders.
they don't make that
I don't
decision.
think
But if they're
shareholders have a right to shoot.
they don't make a decision, but they're taken into consideration for when that decision's being made. Meaning, it might not be that they're sending an email to
worried
shareholders saying, "Hey, do you think we should
They're
do
worried about
this?"
their stock price dropping.
Yeah, and they say, "Listen, it's really bad for everyone if anything happens, and even if there's a 5% chance or a 1% chance, or
It's not worth it.
it's not worth the chance, and so we're not going to do it."
It's true. I mean, how many billions of dollars would it cost the stock price if a plane got shot
Can you
down?
imagine? God forbid.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a crazy.
I would buy it like crazy.
Especially because the government's going to bail them out.
Yeah, for sure.
Hang on one second. I got to pee. Let's pause for 1 second. So this place, the Fields, it's on Griffin, and they serve over 1,000 pints of Guinness a week, and they get like fresh kegs from Dublin, like once a month because they go through so much Guinness, and
It might be my favorite beer.
I love it. By the way, it's so funny you say that. I went to New York like 3 weeks ago, and I went to like 5 different breweries. And I got all these crazy beers and these barrel-aged stouts and these sours and IPAs. And then I went to hear a concert.
Uh-huh.
At the concert, I got a Guinness on tap. I was like, this is better than any of this. I just spent hundreds of dollars on craft beer. And this is better than anything that I just spent all that money on. I loved it.
It's such they haven't changed their recipe in
It's just exactly what it is.
hundreds of years.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's so good. It's so good.
Could be perfect.
The factory in Ireland is awesome.
I've never been to Ireland.
You should go.
I'm going to Scotland.
Get out of here. You told me about that.
Yeah,
You told
in
me
March. I'm going in March. I can't wait to go.
can you make a pit stop in Ireland?
I don't think so because we have
It's right there.
We have a whole itinerary.
Can you add on any days before or after? It's worth even spending a day or two in Dublin. Just like
I'll ask the guys. I mean, there's 22 of us going. So
it's a lot. So even if you go with a couple of guys though, like you don't have to go with all 22.
No, we're doing the whole. We have my friend Perry manages the whole show.
What 22 people is this?
So there's 6 of us. It's basically 6 of us and our friends and family.
Okay.
The 6 guys, we own a piece of the Ben Riach distillery.
Okay.
So
where is that?
We're investors. It's in northern Scotland.
Really?
And so so we are investors, and we buy every time they come out with new kegs. We have the option to buy what we want and not what we don't want.
Yeah.
And so we are.
So they're making new batch, and you're going out.
So we're tapping our 18 year. That's why we're going.
No way.
We're tapping our 18 year.
That's so cool.
And so we're going, and we're going to bring out where everybody's going on the trip. Is getting a few bottles to bring back with us, however many we're allowed to bring through customs.
Yeah.
And
you could ship them too.
Oh, we could, but I don't think we're going to tap the entire keg because I think we want to save it for 25, or that's our goal. It's an investment,
It's fun.
So
it's so much fun.
It's so much.
That's
fun.
so cool.
It's so much fun.
And how involved are you in any of the process, or they just do it and you just walk in and say, this
we
hour
hired
now?
A master distiller, and so he discusses the process with us and asks us
what flavors you like.
Yeah, our input.
Are you going for peaty? Is it going to be smoky?
We're going to have some. We're going to have one cast that we're peating, but all the rest of the casts are. It's a space side.
What's a what?
Space side. So it's like a very mild. It's not too sweet, not too smoky. It's like a little. It's a great space side's like the best mix of people who don't like the really sweet Highlands. Everybody likes the Highlands, but like you don't. I don't know, like how much Glenfiddich can you drink? It's like there's nothing really
By the
special
way,
about it.
why does everyone like Glenlivet? Why does everyone drink Glenlivet, other than the name Glenlivet? Because like, they came out with that blue box.
I don't hold by Glenlivet.
I don't like it. I'd rather not drink than drink Glenlivet
There's only
personally.
one. There's one Glenlivet that I buy, and it's special to me, and that's their Caribbean cask.
The red one.
It's in
It's got a reddish
it's called
box.
Caribbean cask.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I know they have a Caribbean cask that's
It's
in
in
a red and white
it's
box.
aged in a rum barrel,
Hmm.
and so it's just got this very fruity, very unique
Yes,
flavor.
yes, I've had it before.
Very fruity. It's the only Glenlivet that I really appreciate. They had a limited edition 18 year that was, I'm sorry, 21 year. It was peated. It was really expensive,
It was peated.
and it was peated, and
That's
it's.
cool.
I still have some at home. When you come over, I'll give you some.
Yeah.
I pull it out for special friends. And it's really good. It's really good. But I don't think I buy it again because it was too expensive. But
Yeah.
but
It's
the
fun to experiment though
it
with
is. I wanted to try it. It was a limited edition. They made like whatever, like 300 bottles or something like that.
Dude, I went to a brewery over here and I'll show you the bottle that's inside. I still kept the bottle. I saw this beautiful looking bottle. It looked like a $350 bottle of scotch. Like it just like looked beautiful. And it was still. And I look at it and it's a beer. And it's from this brewery. And what this brewery does, it's actually over here. It's called Three Sons. They're right by the airport,
Mm-hmm.
and they make amazing barrel aged stouts. And one of the things that they do is because their stouts are expensive, but they go through a very long process of making them. They'll tell you what date the barrel was filled with the beer and what date it was emptied. Which is fun because you can see like how long it's been sitting in what cask for and what the taste profiles you're going to be getting is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I look at the bottle and on the back it says barrel filled 2019, barrel empty 2021. I'm like, this is a 4-year-old beer. Like, gonna be good.
2 year.
2025 now.
Oh, 25, yeah. Emptied 2021. So
It's a 3.5-year-old
it
beer.
doesn't age, and the beer doesn't age.
No,
It's
it doesn't. I don't know whether it's good or not even.
uh-huh.
Right? And so I bring it up to the owner, and he's like, "Dude, I was selling cases of these at $75 for 375, which is small, right?"
Uh-huh.
And
For
he
a
was like,
beer.
"What?
For a
For
beer.
a beer, right? Because
Crazy
it was like 15%. It's like a wine. It's 15%. It's a barley wine. It's got a ton of like it's got like caramel, vanilla, mapley kind of notes, and it's heavy. I mean, there's a lot of. And I was like, and he goes, and I missed a box. I just left a box on the floor for 4 years. I just forgot about them, and so I decided to put them. I don't know whether they're good. He goes, I put them up for $30. Yeah, it's less than half price,
Mm-hmm.
or more than. What do you say? Do you say it's less than half price or more than half the price? Like if it's selling for $75 and it's selling for 30, it's less.
That's less than half price.
It's less than half price,
Yeah.
but it's not less than half off. It's more than half off. It's more than 50% off,
More
but
than
it's less
50,
than half
less
price.
than half price.
Yeah, yeah, right. So, um, so I was gonna buy two, and he goes, "Why don't you just buy one first, and if you like it, come back and buy another one." I'm like, "Okay," and I said, "You know what? Let me buy one. I'll buy one. I'll open it now, and I'll open it now, and if we like it, then I'll buy the second one. If not, I won't." And I didn't buy a second one.
No, it wasn't.
But 2 or 3 days later, because it was still, I was like, it doesn't run out of carbonation. He's like, no, because I imagine before it starts to oxidize and go bad, you probably have a week to drink it. So 2 or 3 days later, I poured myself another pour, and it was phenomenal, incredible, yeah. But it was just cool, like to see, like you can leave,
I
like
don't know anything about the. I mean, I know. Obviously, I know the brewing process, right? I have a master's degree in chemistry. We actually,
do you have a master's degree in chemistry
yeah.
and education?
My undergrad is in education. My master's in chemistry.
Do you have a PhD?
I'm a PhD in education as well.
So where did chemistry came in for pre-med?
Well, I had a ton of chemistry
Courses.
stuff.
Why? Because
So
pre-med.
pre-med.
And so once you already had all those classes, you may as well major in it.
Exactly.
Does chemistry major mean much? What do
I
people
taught
do with it?
chemistry. That was
You
my.
taught
I
chemistry.
taught chemistry. That's why I had it.
Really? You're a chemistry teacher?
Yeah, I taught chemistry. That was my subject.
I feel like you definitely the type to be an English or history teacher,
No,
dude.
no, not at all.
Really?
Yeah, not at all.
What?
Not
You're a
even close.
science teacher?
Uh huh.
What? No way, dude.
Chemistry,
Why?
and the kids loved. They loved me because my favorite thing in the world is to blow shit up.
Oh, well, so you were very into the real life demonstrations
Hmm.
and then explaining the concepts and teaching the concepts.
Unfortunately, everywhere you are, there's a curriculum, state curriculum, and so you've got to cover stuff that is uh, really very theoretical in nature
Hmm.
because chemistry is understanding the nature of the universe and getting down, understanding the atomic level, and so
Hmm.
dealing with things like, you know, um, dealing with different energy levels of where electrons are located in relation to the atom and things like that. It's totally theoretical, and so it's not Nageya. There's no practicality at all, and so
Is
that
there none?
none, none whatsoever.
Really?
Yeah, when you're teaching that stuff, the kids are always like, "Why are we learning this?" Because
And what do you tell them? Like, what's the answer to that?
the same answer that you give for everything that has no practicality. That it's important to know because it's the pursuit of knowledge, and to understand how things work in the world. You know,
Yeah.
it's important for your growth and development to become worldly.
I feel like I tell them that even if it's not any applicable information to anything that directly translates over, it's a new way of thinking that you haven't practiced yet, and that you could use that, you could implement that way of thinking in all sorts of different ways. And so, like, the value isn't the material per se, it's the way of thinking that you're learning. Because, like, I don't remember almost anything I learned in high school. In high school, I don't think most people
Yeah,
really
most people
do.
don't.
Certain things are like drilled into their head. What year George Washington sailed the ocean blue, and stuff like that. But most of the things like you don't remember, but it's still there. Like the building blocks of like the way that you learned is still there. Like that was actually when I went to Israel for my second year. I went to Israel for a gap year after high school before college,
Hmm.
and I didn't know what I was going to do for college yet. And that summer, I wasn't going to go back to Israel again. And then I realized that I was probably going to end up in a not Jewish college, in which case I would need a little bit more technical skills to fortify my ability to continue growing in a not Jewish environment.
That was always my mentality for my children, by the way.
To have that.
To have that, figuring that they'd be going to university, and so I
The
wanted
point of
them.
learning the point of learning, especially at a young age, is to learn how to learn, not just what it is that you're learning.
And to make you grounded and give you, a platform to build on that makes you want to get excited about growth and developing a relationship with God. And so, you know, you don't necessarily get that in high school enough to.
You know what? It kind of bothers me that it's not really more embraced, and especially because it's Rambam, Maimonides. But he says like, in the beginning of he calls them Hilchos Deos, I guess the rules of your behavior and personality, and it's a little bit more philosophical. It talks about like personality traits and the foundation of belief and faith and stuff like that. And one of the things he says, like, if you don't know, it goes, we basically what we know about God is that we don't know anything about Him,
Mhm.
right? And everything like, every time that you say, "Is God this?" you say, "No, that's only a component or an aspect," and like we don't want to limit what God is to any particular trait, which is why we say we anthropomorphize Him. We say God's nose flared when He's mad, but like He doesn't have a nose to actually
Right.
flare or get mad, right? And he goes, if you want to really know how to love God, he goes, just look at the world. He goes, just study science. Like that's what Rambam, like Maimonides says. He goes, like, just study science, just study the world. He goes, you will fall in love with what you find. Like you study science, you study chemistry, you study biology, you study animals, you study, marine life, you study anything. You're like, and you just see there's like certain like ideas and like there's certain themes I guess that are consistent through everything, right? Like the value of relationship, right? Relationships apply on like a human level. We almost measure like happiness and success based on like how good our relationships are, right? Like there was that famous Harvard study that the biggest thing that contributes to happiness is relationships more than almost anything. Um, but like like chemistry is all about the relationships between atoms and intention and like it's the building blocks of the physical world as well. And relationship is also how the economy works and how like you have macroeconomics and microeconomics coexisting at the same time, and how all of them are like independently true but also consistent throughout the board. And you're like there's certain just things that like notions that like kind of shoot like an arrow through everything. Like that's where you find the beauty of like God's world, like of the world, like
This is
the
why I placed such a high
but
emphasis
like we don't emphasize that. I
when
feel like so much.
in education,
No, especially in
in life,
Judaism. In Judaism,
in
that we don't
Judaism.
emphasize like to learn to love God is to learn to love the world and like to learn to love
I
life.
don't know. I don't think that's true. I think
You don't think
that's
it's not taught? You don't think it's true?
no.
That
I think
notion is
it's.
true.
I think the notion is absolutely true in Judaism. I don't believe that the current, you know, frum education system has that as a focus at all.
I know it's a problem.
Right? It
That's
is.
what hurts me. That's what I'm saying.
It is.
That's the whole
It is
point
a
of it.
problem,
Yeah.
which is part of the reason that, when I was running, I was the, principal of the yeshiva.
Mm-hmm.
We did so many field trips
Did you?
all the time. Yeah, because we're in the mountains in Colorado, and we had a school bus, and so I would regularly
Just take everyone out.
take everyone out in the school bus. I didn't have a CDL license. It's totally illegal.
So much fun.
But
By the way, they're not so hard to drive, right?
yeah, no, I mean, you got to learn. It's a 10 speed, so it's a different. It's like a truck. It's a truck
Wait,
engine.
it's stick shift.
Stick shift.
The school bus. Really? I didn't know that.
Well, that's
All school
this
buses?
one was. I don't know.
No?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's the only one I've ever driven.
Right. The camp that I went to growing up had a retired school bus as part of like the camp like bus fleet,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
they
We had
repurposed it. It's
we
fun.
had we had we had some of the kids called it. They painted the yeshivish bus on the side of
It's
the
cute.
whole side of the bus,
Yeah.
and it was such a yeshivish bus. We broke down all the time.
It's so funny. It's like what's it called? It wasn't who was the famous guy in the 60s with the bus and like he bought a bus and the destination was always just further and it was like this massive hippie like stoner truck.
I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about?
No.
It was Neil Cassidy, I think. You know who Neil Cassidy is? He wrote On the Road Again. On the Road Again. He's one of the famous beat writers of the 60s and 70s of the 60s, and he like bought a bus and like they didn't have a purpose other than just to get weird, and so like and like they would just like travel like they would just try to document their travels across the country, but the entire time they're tripping acid and like all their footage
So
was
we
like
didn't do that at
useless.
the yeshiva.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But we definitely did, take the kids hiking, monthly and make sure that we had, we did all
That probably
kinds of
kept everyone so happy, right?
outdoor activities. I mean, it was, I guess because you're in Denver, there's sort of an expectation because it's an out of town program that when parents send their kids there, there's an
Oh,
expectation.
because all the kids were from out of town.
Almost all of them.
Almost all of them.
Yeah, we only had like, I'd say maybe 25% of the school were in towners.
Wow. Where was everyone else from? The tri-state area?
All over.
Or all over?
A lot from the tri-state area. Not too many from like New York, New Jersey, but we had a lot of people from like Connecticut, Rhode Island, like out of town kids.
Yeah, because where they were
kids.
growing up, they wouldn't have a Jewish school, and so they would send their kids to.
Or they did have a Jewish school that didn't work for them, and so that's basically the.
Do you think it's a good thing to do to send your kids away? Do you think it's productive?
That's a loaded question.
I know. I know, and the only reason why I'm thinking of it is because there's a lot of cultures and societies, even the notion like in Israel, where like a 17 or 18-year-old goes to an army, and like we delay adolescence in America for a very long time. Do you think it'd be better to kind of give kids that more of a sense of independence and send them away from home earlier?
Well,
By the way, it's
You
hard
s-
for. I can
you
imagine
spent
being hard
you
for a
spent
parent.
you spent your gap year away.
Yeah,
You know what you did your freshman
it was the
year,
best thing in the entire world, though. It was the
and
best thing for me as a human being.
the growth curve is amazing. You know, but my son, who grew up with me as a father, and participated on a lot of our trips, and we went, you know, we were camping, and you
Yeah,
know, I was an Eagle Scout, and I did all the scouting things with my kids, and I taught them all this, you know, survival skills and things like
you're an
that.
expert tie knotter,
Not
not
tire.
tire.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can tie a lot of different knots, but that's you know just a small part. The survival skills, just really understanding how to be out and be one with nature, and how to find water and find food, and understand how to build shelter and take care of yourself. My son asks me straight out. He's like, "Abba, why are all my friends pussies?"
He says that.
He says that. He's like,
By the way, he would say something about me because
"Really?
I'm also
You don't know
yeah
how to
for
do any of
sure.
that stuff." Yeah, no, but you grew up in New York, like you know, it's
No, for sure. By the way, and it's funny because my dad would try so hard to get me to like do things. I would push back so hard. I don't know. I don't know why. Like I don't. You know. I don't. I regret it because I. It's so funny. He was absolutely right, and I knew he was gonna. Like, there's a couple of things. For example, I never wanted to play
the
football as a
older
kid.
you get, the smarter your parents are.
Yeah.
The more you realize that's what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I never wanted to play football with my dad.
Hmm.
My dad, and I did it to bother him because I knew how much he loved football. I don't know why I wanted to bother him. I wanted to bother him, and
Because you were a kid.
I can't tell you why, right? And my dad used to tell me. He used to be like, "You're gonna grow up. You're gonna be a dad. You're gonna want to have you're gonna have a barbecue in your backyard, and your friends want to throw a football, and you're gonna be like an idiot, and you're gonna be like, I'm 35 years old. I don't know how to throw a football." And now I'm 29 years old and I don't know how to throw a football.
Right.
And he's completely correct, you
Yeah.
know? And like
Yeah.
the
For
things he
sure.
wanted to get me to do, to learn, I was so not willing to do it that but a lot of the skills were so like crucial for me to have as a young person, you know. And I kind of developed in my own way, my own. But I would have done better if I just listened to him. I don't know why I didn't. And then the other thing I have to think about is how do I get my kid to not do what I did? You know, like how do I get my kids to not just to spite
Not
me,
be a pussy.
ignore A, to not be a pussy, and B, to ignore like very direct, clear instructions that are very tangibly going to make your life better. You know, and like how do I get away? How do I tell them that in a way they're going to hear it?
I think it starts with, you know, you're in that position right now.
Yeah,
You have a 2 year old, and like your kids.
is it crazy? He's two.
I know.
You remember he was born,
I
right?
remember when he was born. Your kids are going to be. They're going to idolize you, and you know you're an amazing dad. You're an amazing person, and I think that if you just take them out, expose them to nature, teach them the things that are important to you, that they're going to follow in your footsteps, and
But
it's
like this was important to
again
hit my dad, and I didn't want to follow in
very
his
organic.
footsteps.
You didn't want to
I didn't want to.
because he didn't start when you were young.
He did.
How old were you?
I mean, I know that for example, from a young age,
How
and
old were you when he
I'm
first
gonna
tried to
start.
take
I'm
you
gonna start
shooting?
doing this. He never tried to take me shooting. Actually, he started. He started getting into guns recently, but only half-heartedly whenever he has time, whatever. But like for example, one thing we used to do growing up, which I would love to do with actually Shua, is we'd go to Modell's, which doesn't exist anymore,
Hmm.
and we would buy a bucket, like one of those big buckets of baseballs for like I don't know, $10. And go to the backyard, and he would just pitch me the whole bucket, and I would stand there and I would bat, and I would just and we'd just go through the entire bucket, and then both of us would go through the backyard and pick up all the balls. Some of them got hit into the neighbor's property, some of them got hit into the
Hmm.
bushes and the trees, and then we come back together and we play baseball again. I loved it. That's one of the highlights of like of my childhood growing up. Is like thinking about those experiences. He stopped doing them with my younger siblings, and I don't know if it's because
To get busy.
I mean,
Sometimes life gets in the way.
think about this. I mean, he went from having to support. I mean, he had to pay one. I mean, as far as I know that he always paid tuition, and he had 6 kids. And you know, so I was the first, and by the time I'm 6, 7 years old, you could play with me, and you have time to work and have time with your family.
I'm the oldest.
I'm the oldest, you know, and then there was 2 girls and then a boy. So the next boy that happened was nearly a decade later,
Yeah.
and like he had a totally different set of responsibilities a decade later. You know, like there's a lot more bills to pay. There's a lot more to
Right.
do. Life was a lot more crazy, you know. But my siblings didn't get to see like that aspect of him.
You can tell because the amount of like family photos that drop off from one child to the next. Like
That's what it is,
we
right?
have so many pictures of my oldest child and almost none of my youngest child.
Yeah.
And so what happens is that, you know, there's like almost a trade-off because my, Michali now, the other two are out of the house
Mm-hmm.
and she's got me all to herself.
Yeah.
I'm,
Does she have youngest child syndrome?
um, I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah,
That means you
I
did a
don't
good job
think she does. Yeah.
parenting.
So she's I mean youngest child syndrome, meaning feeling neglected and
No, youngest child syndrome is
unappreciated,
doing whatever you want,
spoiled,
spoiled. Like,
spoiled. I mean,
yeah,
she
everyone has
doesn't
to
have
live
those,
on your
she doesn't have it at
terms.
all. She's
Because youngest child syndrome, I think, typically stems from like parents being burnt out of dealing with all the previous kids, and they're already older, so they're already
it's
more
different when you
laid
have
back.
three and when you have six.
Yeah,
It is. It is. It has to be.
I'm sure.
It has to be. So so I only had three. That's all Hashem gave us.
Listen,
And
three, I'm sure is first of all, three is above average, and three is enough to keep you busy and
it did
enough
keep
to
us
be
busy.
very meaningful and enough to be really beautiful. You know, like it's. I mean, all of it is. Even one is enough. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I don't think that it would have been any different for me, honestly, because I know myself, and I knew like the childhood that I grew up with, having a father who was really domineering and very
How many siblings do you have?
just one.
Just one sibling.
Yeah, my brother. Um, we had, we grew up in a multi-family home with my father's siblings
That's cool. Really?
and their children. So there were
We guys
five
all
there
really
were
close then.
five boys, yeah. So we were all together and we were five boys within 4 years.
Wow,
And so we were all
that's
very,
so
very
much
close.
fun.
We had so much fun. Yeah. We
It's such a
ruled
fun
we
childhood.
ruled the schools. I mean, you can imagine, it was
Yeah,
like, yeah, nobody messed with the Peckman boys. Like we were
that's so
and we were all
great.
like big, strong, football playing, like really athletic guys.
Was
And
your dad? Is your dad? Was your dad athletic?
my dad was also athletic, yeah.
And he pushed it. Like he wanted you guys to play sports.
Well, he didn't really. He wasn't very much involved in my childhood.
No.
He worked. He had 2, 3 jobs growing up, and the only time that we really spent time together was when we were traveling, like on
Did you understand the
vacations.
notion of 2 or 3 jobs when you were growing up, or you didn't get it while you were experiencing it?
I was a bad kid, so um, I was not good at all.
You say bad as in you didn't cooperate, or bad as in you weren't appreciative, or bad as
All the
in
above. I wasn't a good. I don't think I was a good person. I was mean. I was a bully.
really?
Yeah.
How'd you change?
Um,
Did you notice that it wasn't
I
working, or
was.
did
I
you
was. I
notice
think
that
I was a bully because I was bullied,
that happens a lot?
and I didn't.
A little bit more, or tequila?
I'm working on the beer right now. Beer and pizza is a great mix.
Yeah, especially Guinness.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
best. So I don't believe that that my father really had any in he definitely he was a domineering. He was a the um what are the three different types of parent is permissive, assertive, and
Dominating,
no, and what's the third one is basically
consuming.
no, basically dominating is what it amounts to. I forgot what it's called
Okay,
psychologically, but authoritative. Authoritative is the third one. And he was an authoritative parent. Do as I say, and it doesn't matter what I do.
that's
And
old school.
he was old school. Yeah.
That
And
is
so
old school.
yeah. I mean, I'm 50, so I got hit when I was a kid.
How old was your dad when he had you? How much older is your dad than you are?
He was probably 28, something like that.
Gotcha. So he would have been around 80.
Now he would be around 80. Yeah, my
Right.
mom is turning 80 in July,
Gotcha.
and so I mean, he
Different
passed
world. It's
away.
a crazy
He
world.
passed away 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But he was he was really, really tough, and so I think part of that led to me also like not wanting to be involved with him and not wanting to really do the right thing because it's poor parenting. authoritative parenting is just poor parenting.
Hmm.
And my mother was on the opposite end of the spectrum. She was a totally permissive parent, let me do whatever I want,
Really?
because because I was so obnoxious. It was almost like she was afraid of me. I don't think she actually was, but that's kind of the
Maybe you should recognize that you needed a little bit more freedom.
possibly.
Like if you have one parent that like parents, I
I
don't think
also grew
parents are
up in,
silly.
as a Gen X. I was as free as you can be. I was a latchkey kid from third or fourth grade. You know,
That's
I
crazy. You just walk back and forth from school.
I had the key to my house. My parents didn't show up till late at night. I had to let myself off from the bus stop, go home, unlock my house, and
Do you think it's better? I think it's
take care of
worse.
myself. You couldn't do it today.
I know you couldn't do it today. Do you think that it was good for you growing up to have that kind of experience and independence?
It's impossible to say otherwise because I know how I turned out. Like I feel like my generation is so much stronger than even millennials,
Yeah, for sure.
and just
I think you are
willing
because
to
you guys
do,
grew
willing
up.
to try, willing to not afraid of
You
anything.
know why?
Like
Because you guys didn't grow up with things that you took for granted. Like you didn't take for granted that your parents would be home every day when you got home and have food ready for you. You didn't take
on
for
the
granted.
contrary, they
Exactly.
Dafka weren't home.
That's right.
You know.
I know, but that makes an enormous difference because when you grow up with that kind of sense of everything will be ready for me, but what am I going to do when I get home to get dinner ready, to do homework, to succeed in school or to fail in school? You know, like all that is completely contingent on your own self. Like that's it's a real call to
And if you
responsibility
didn't
at an
make the
early age.
grades, and if you didn't, do whatever chores were expected of you, there were consequences
Sure.
that were physical in nature. so so you feared that,
Sure.
there's that love and fear relationship. Like I loved my father, and I knew he wanted the best for me,
Yeah.
but he was just not really so involved in my upbringing.
You know what I think would be? I was thinking about. I was talking. Actually, I was talking about this yesterday. My solo my episode I did by myself. But I've been thinking a lot about the difference between, or that at least because I think that people act out of a combination of gratitude and a sense of responsibility or fear. Right? Like, what's guilt? Guilt is you feel like there's no reason for you to be doing something, but you've been told to do it anyway, and so like it's kind of deeply instilled in you. And even though it doesn't make sense, you kind of want to do it anyway, right? It's like the notion of contrary to what you've been told.
Is that guilt?
Yeah. What else would it be? Guilt is like I've been told that something is right, and I feel bad about, and I like, and I appreciate, and I've been told that something is right, and I don't agree, and instead of confronting it, I'm just going to do it my own kind of way, and I guess guilt comes from that lack of
Feeling,
confrontation.
I don't know. I mean, it's guilt is just the negative feelings that arise from doing something that you believe is wrong.
Right, no, but you could believe it's right and be told that it was wrong and feel guilty about it. Like I have a lot of friends, for example, that are religious because they're guilty.
You wouldn't feel
They're
guilty about it.
they're religious because if they weren't religious, they would feel guilty. But it's not because they feel like they believe in God or value religious beliefs. It's because they don't want their parents upset at them, and that's what's fundamentally wrong
I don't think that's guilt. I think that's fear. Fear of rejection.
from their parents.
Guilt is an internal thing, has nothing to do with the outside. Guilt is when you're doing something that you believe is wrong. If you believe that what you're doing is wrong,
So then,
that's
why
when
do
you
you
feel
do it?
guilty. You do it because we have taivas, we have desires, we have because what you're doing on some level scratches an itch. But you when you do it, after you do it, guilt generally is a hindsight thing.
Yeah.
um, After you do it, you feel bad about it. That's what
The
causes guilt.
saddest experience is when guilt is happening while you're doing the action.
So
Like while like like the story. You remember the movie Flight with Denzel Washington,
yeah, sure.
where he was an alcoholic, pilot.
Yeah, yeah.
And like there was one scene where like he was
That's a
gonna
great
grab
movie.
that. Remember that there was one scene I remember where he was in the hotel room and there was a mini bar in the hotel. And
Yeah,
he
yeah.
wasn't gonna do it. And he left the bottle on top, and he walks away, and the camera stays on the little bottle of Jack, and like it stays there for like I think like 15 seconds, like a long
Uh-huh.
time, and then like his hand just comes and swipes it away,
Uh-huh.
and like and like what I love about like filmmaking is like you didn't show his face because he was so embarrassed by the fact that he was taking that drink again. You know, like
Yeah, you knew he felt bad.
you
about it.
knew he didn't want to do it,
Right,
and
he
it
did
was
not
just
want
in
to.
that moment.
Yeah.
I have nothing
It's a
but
taiva.
this overwhelming urge against everything I know is right
That's right.
to do this.
Right, that's guilt. That's guilt. So I would say the opposite of the example you gave earlier, where the people who are religious because they don't want to disappoint their parents, people who aren't religious and have an anger and
A vehemence.
the vehemence against
Yeah.
religious people, that's from guilt because wholeheartedly, internally, they know that what they're doing is wrong, that they believe.
You think so? You think that we have? You think that we're that intuitive? You think that we have like these intuitions that are so?
I think that God gave us an neshama. I think that we have a soul that is immortal, and that soul yearns for a relationship with Him, and we are at our best when we fulfill that yearning
Right.
and feel the least guilt.
Right. I was talking. It's so funny because I was talking to my cousin last night. My cousin and we've been very close for our entire lives. We grew up together, and we have old pictures of taking like baths together. You know, like when we were like 4 or 5, and to today we're very close. And you know, we on and off learning together, and we started learning together again recently. And we started from the beginning of Bereshis, of Genesis, of the Chumash, and we're talking just about we're talking about how much room for interpretation and individuality there is um, in our own development. One of the things that we were talking about was, for example, if you look at the beginning of Bereshis, of Genesis, the first parak, the first chapter, there's a notion that God said, I think on the third or fourth day, He was like, all the fruit trees should give birth to should have fruit. And the next pasuk, and the next sentence is, and all the trees gave birth to fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the sentence, it was still, and God saw that it was good, and it was good, right? And the question that I heard, or that was,
Redundant.
no, it wasn't redundant. In fact, it was the opposite. If God said that a fruit tree should be the specific type of tree that's giving birth to fruit, and then a tree that's not a fruit tree is giving birth to fruit, then that's a direct violation of what God's orders were, or God's intention was.
You sure you have it right? Because I
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can show it to you.
You don't have to show it to me. But...
Yeah, I can show it to you. I'll show it to you after. But it's God said that He said specifically all the fruit should go to fruit bearing trees, and then the next pasuk says, and then regular trees started having fruit, and God saw it was good,
Uh-huh.
right? And one of the understandings is that there's a lot of room for people to take their own initiative in life, in creation. That, let's say, for example, I see someone else doing something that they're good at, and I'm motivated by that, and I'm inspired by that. And even though I didn't necessarily know that I could do such a thing, that inspiration, that spark from watching someone else do something, encouraged me to totally change what I'm capable of producing, what I'm totally capable of creating. And so it kind of gives us a license to be greater than what we initially are. And then the way that you have that confirmation is that God saw that happened, and God didn't reject it. God said it was good, right? And there are things that God rejected. God rejects, the only thing in the entire creation story that God says is not good is for man to be alone, right? And we know what happens when people are isolated. We like this, and we know that the worst thing to happen to a human being is that they live alone for 30 years, for 40 years, 50 years. We know that.
Ofnam syndrome.
What's Oathman syndrome?
Ofnam. Over
Oathman?
40, never married.
Yeah.
You see an old person who's over
Or,
40.
but let's say you're in
They
prison.
have
What's the worst punishment in prison? Solitary confinement.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because we need other people, or we start to self-destruct. And we also say, like, when it comes to learning, Torah and Judaism, you're not supposed to learn by yourself. You're supposed to have someone else that you're bouncing ideas off of, because you doing things by yourself leads you to You need feedback. You need feedback. You need
But
responses.
nothing helps you grow more than a wife and children.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, what it does is it teaches you to be like God. What does that mean? God is a giver, right? He made us in his image.
And he
God
made
is
us for nothing, out of nothing, for nothing.
God is a giver, and we are meant to be selfless. And the only thing that teaches selflessness is to have somebody that you have to love more than yourself. And that you don't really get that until you're married and until you have children. That you care about somebody more than yourself.
Do you think
And
that?
that's
Do you
why
think that,
that's
that,
why
that
when
that's
you
an
look at
innate
someone who's
feeling?
over 40 who's never been in a real relationship and you see they have like I jokingly call it Ofnam syndrome because it's like a syndrome. There's a similar set of characteristics that stem from selfishness. And when you look at these people, the reason that they're, I don't know, weird, like different, uncomfortable in social situations is because they're not used to being around somebody that they have to think of before they think of
That they're
themselves,
responsible for.
that they're responsible for.
Yeah. I heard the best definition of the word responsible is the ability to respond. Right? As in what's going on
Oh,
around
I
you
like that.
and how capable of
That's
you are
amazing. I'm going to use
responding
that.
to that around you. Yeah, of course, right?
Yeah.
So the more responsible you are, the better of a person you are because you have a direct impact on what happens around you. And if you avoid responsibility, then you do not participate and partake in the world around you.
Yeah.
And while that could be comfortable, that's also one of the worst things that we can do to ourselves is to kind of cut ourselves off from the world and be isolated, right?
So about 10 years ago, we used to have a really ugly cat.
I hate cats, dude.
I know. My wife loves cats, and she's severely allergic to cats,
Really? And she loves them?
and she loves them.
Why?
So I don't know. I have no idea. But we got a hairless cat, like
Cool.
Mr. Bigglesworth.
Where'd you get the name from?
So, no, that wasn't his name. That was the name of. You ever see Austin Powers?
Yes.
Yeah, Austin
Years
Powers.
ago.
Yeah, yeah. Which
Mitchie
is
Foos?
Mitchy Foos is a Peruvian whatever, and his name was Mitchy Foos, and so we named our cat Mitchy Foos, and when Mitchy died, we had had a very interesting the day we got or the day after we got Mitchy, it was Erev Pesach or like 2 days before Pesach, and he came from Chicago. These are like
You bought the cat
really
from
fancy
Chicago?
cats, yeah. And from a
How'd he
breeder.
get there?
It was from somebody who had.
Did he deliver the cat to you?
So no, we had somebody who was flying in from. They were in Beis Yaakov in Chicago, and it was right before Pesach, so she was
Yeah,
flying
come
back.
back.
So we had her fly our cat back. I don't remember where we found it. It was on some whatever social media group that for where to find hairless cats. There are only a handful of breeders in the country because they're pretty rare.
And they're expensive, right?
And they're expensive. So this was an older cat. It was the breeder's cat, and he was getting rid of. He was getting rid of.
She was the mother of the
It was the breeder's cat. The person who was breeding the cats. It
Yeah.
was their personal cat.
But I'm saying she was the mother of the litters that they were
No, it was a male. It was a male.
Oh, man, okay.
It was a
Gotcha.
male. It was just one of the
Oh, one of the
kittens,
cats. Okay,
one of the
gotcha.
kittens
Yeah.
that they had kept, and it was like he was like probably 6 months old or something like that, and he hadn't gotten adopted, and he had actually been in a couple of National Geographic specials.
Really?
For exotic pets, and he was in a movie, and he came.
It is your cat?
This was our cat, and he came with a wardrobe, and it was really cool with we have
No way.
we still have the pictures. We still have like a photo shoot, of the cat. He had his own like headshots.
That's so funny.
It was really funny, and
That's so cute.
so we got him, and when just this story's going to go on forever because there's so many stories about this trip, but I'll tell them all. Why not?
Yeah.
So this girl, Chaya Sarah Arabin, was a daughter of a friend of ours who's coming back from Beis Yaakov, well, not from Beis Yaakov, from seminary,
Yeah.
in Chicago, and so she agreed to carry the thing on the plane.
So nice.
And it was the ugliest cat you've ever seen in your life.
Are you
So it looked like a gargoyle, but
It's disgusting.
like a greasy gargoyle.
I hate cats. Why
It's
did so
so
did
gross,
your wife
so
love her?
gross.
The him of him.
Yeah, loved him to pieces. And so when Chaya when she brought the cat on the plane, she had him in a little like carrying thing
Yeah.
underneath the seat, right in front of her, and the
But help yourself to another cigar if you want.
thank you.
Yeah.
And the other person sitting next to her was like, "Oh, you have a cat?" She's like, "Yes, I do." And she's like, "Oh, can I see it?" She's like, "I don't think you want to." So he's like, "No, no, really, I do." She's like, "No, I really think you don't."
That's so funny. And
So,
what was the what
and
was
so the
the?
lady was finally like, "No, I really would like to see your cat. Can I see your cat?" So she goes, "Okay, I warned you." And she pulled the cat out, and the lady's like, "Oh my God, what is that thing?" You know.
Yeah, dude.
So so she had to
How long did you
explain,
have her
"Oh,
for? How long you have him
so
for?
he only lived to 5. He had a heart condition,
Wow.
and he died. And this is what actually stemmed this conversation that I started. It's going to continue to go on. So when we brought the cat home, this cat had lived in a penthouse in in a high rise in Chicago.
Okay.
Had never been outside, never
No
seen,
way.
never been outside,
And cats acclimate very quickly, right, to their environments.
well, we had never had a cat. So apparently, the way that you acclimate a cat is you have to let them into one room in your home, and then they get acclimated to that room. And then you open it up to like your upstairs, and you block off the stairwell,
Cool.
and then you acclimate them to that. And then we didn't know. We just let the thing out, let it go
Right.
run, you know.
And it didn't make
And we
itself
had a really
comfortable.
big house, and it had never
This is in
seen the
Colorado.
outdoors in Colorado, and it had never seen the outdoors. So the first time it saw a squirrel through the window,
Lost its mind.
it it raced toward the squirrel, ran right through the plate glass.
No
This was on
way.
day 2, right through the plate glass window, cut to ribbons,
No way.
Erev Pesach, and we had to take him to a take him to the vet to
Oh,
get
it's so
and
expensive
it
so
and it was
quickly.
unbelievable. It was such a nightmare. It was such a nightmare. And they couldn't stitch him because his heart rate was too high because he was still getting used to being in a new environment, and they were afraid that he would have a heart attack and die. And that's when we were informed, oh, he probably has a heart condition. We're like, great, thanks.
Yeah.
You know, we just paid X
Oh
amount of
my
dollars for this
God.
cat and brought him
That's
over to Chicago.
crazy. Was it?
And so yeah, and so anyway, it was an absurd situation. After he came back and he had glue all over him, and we had cleaned up the blood from the stitching,
Mhm.
you know, because they glued him instead of stitched him, and we'd cleaned up all the blood and
Oh
everything.
my goodness.
The rabbi of our community, who Kanai Hara had 10 children, was very excited to hear that we had this exotic pet because there's a special bracha you can make on it, like one of Hashem's creatures.
Really? That's
Very unique,
that's cool.
like a bracha that says, you know, thank God for creating all the different things in the world, kind
Yeah.
of thing. And so he asked, "Can we come over so we can see your cat and make this bracha that you never get to make?" So I was like, "Yeah,
How do you
sure,"
determine that that cat was like?
because he heard it was a hairless cat. I mean,
Mm,
that should be enough. Like it was a freak of nature.
yeah.
This
I
is
want a French bulldog, dude.
Frenchies are great, but there are all kinds of problems. We can talk about
I
that
know they
later.
can't breathe. Their faces aren't
They have
designed to
skin
breathe.
problems, and
But they're
they're so
so
cute. They
cute.
are so cute, but
They're such good
no, their
personalities.
personalities are crazy. They're such divas. They're such divas. They want what they want, and they yelp and they cry all the time. And I don't know. I love them too. They're
They're
so
so cute.
cute.
What about
They're
corgis?
so cute. Corgis are better.
Corgis are so cute,
They're
and they got
also
the
really
best
cute. Yeah,
butts.
but they have hair. They're the best butts.
They're the best butts. You know, it's like
Corgi
corgi
butts.
butt. Yeah, yeah, it's like it's a fluffy little butt. And it's got two very distinct cheeks that are constantly
You're right.
wobbling up and
You're right.
down.
Yeah,
You
yeah, I
know,
hear that. I hear
you call them happy boys because they
that.
constantly have that. Like
Yeah, they have a
they're always
smile.
smiling.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
have a smile.
I love corgis.
So did the queen. So
Mm-hmm.
so when we heard that the rabbi wanted to come make this bracha, we were like, we just so you know, he's like cut up and scarred and everything. He's like, all the better.
Yeah, that's right. The weirder, the better.
Exactly. So they lined up, the 10 of them, outside the house so they could each make a separate bracha.
No way.
Yeah. So they could each make a bracha.
That's so funny.
And when we showed them the cat, and Mrs. Meyer was second, the Rebbitzin, And she took one look at the cat. She's like, "Oh my god, I can't even look at it."
Oh my
You know, she like
gosh.
put her hands over her face and she left. She just left.
That's
She turned
so
around and walked
funny.
away. Yeah, it was crazy.
And your wife like what? So
That's how
what the heck
ugly
is
the
it?
cat
What
was.
the heck is appealing about
This
that
is
kind of cat?
this is what I'm getting to.
Oh, taking care of it is what
You
makes it
have
special.
to do so much for this cat. Cats have natural oils in their skin that get absorbed by their fur, which makes them a little bit waterproof, right? The water rolls off them, which is why they can spend so much time outdoors. And this cat,
Cat.
it was greasy.
Yeah.
So you had to like
Ew.
take a warm towel and give it like a warm towel wipe down like 2 or 3 times a day. You had to clean the wax out of its ears.
Ew.
You had to take those so
It
much
sounds
pains.
terrible.
It was terrible for me. I hated the cat. I
I can't
hated it.
believe you did it. Why'd you do
I
it?
didn't. My wife did.
Why'd you? I wouldn't.
Because she had to do it, it made her more in love with the cat.
Yeah. I
So
think that
that's the definition of love. You
love
fall
comes
in
from
love.
time and effort invested.
That's exactly right. It's exactly right. And this was the conversation that I had to make to Rabbi Meyer, because when the cat died at age 5, right? He said,
Were you sad when the cat died?
so sad. I was
You were
sad.
sad,
I was sad because my wife was sad.
but you weren't sad because you cared about
No,
the cat.
I didn't like the cat. I was happy to see it go, but I was sad. I mean, how can you not be? You know, when your wife is hurting, you feel pain. When your wife suffers, you suffer.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I was suffering because my wife was suffering, and she was in love with this cat. And we had other pets at the time, and it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to have the other pets. Like
What are you gonna do with your dogs when you go to Israel?
I fly in my mother-in-law to take care of them usually. I told Rabbi Meyer when my wife told Rabbi Meyer that the dog died. So he said she should make like a tov v'ametiv or something or say
Yeah.
something, some positive like he's like, oh, you know,
Yeah,
he's like,
appreciation,
yeah,
gratitude.
gratitude for having the dead cat. She took personal offense at that.
She took what?
She took offense at that,
Why?
and because she loved the cat and she was hurting and she was mourning and he was making a joke.
But it's not a joke.
He was making a joke.
Oh, he was making a joke out of it.
He was making a joke out of it, saying like, "Oh, thank God it's dead. Now you don't have to deal with that ugly cat anymore."
Right.
Like that was his whole mentality.
And your wife was not happy with that.
And not only was she not happy, she held a grudge against him. Like she felt negativity toward our Rav.
I probably would also, by the way, if there's something I loved and cared about.
Of course you would.
Yeah.
Of course you would. So, but you've had pets, haven't you?
Not
Not really.
Not really.
Well, you can't really understand the love that you feel for an animal.
I kind of
until
want one,
you
but I don't want
have-
to get. I don't want to get involved. I
Right.
feel like it's so
Well,
much work.
It's another child.
It's another job.
It's another job. It is, but you get so much out of it. First of all, I'll tell you this as soon as I'm done with this story because I'm almost done.
Yeah.
So I told Rabbi Meyer this, that my wife was really upset about it, and he didn't understand it.
You said why she was upset?
Why? He's like, why was she upset? Why did she love the cat? And I was like, here's what you have to understand. What makes you love something? What makes you love something is having to take care of them. The reason we love our kids is because they're dependent on us. That cat was entirely dependent. If we didn't feed it, it didn't eat. If we didn't clean up after it, it was a mess, right? The cat would be, sick and dead. I mean, this was something that should have been Darwined out of existence.
Yeah.
But
it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. It was created by man for
man as a pet. Yeah.
As a pet. And so just like a French bulldog.
Yeah.
And so when you
stupid breed.
When you defend when something depends on you and you are its lifeline, you develop a bond with that thing, whatever it is. When something depends on you, you love it. And so she loved this like almost lahavdil, like a child.
Yeah.
Well,
you hear a lot of people say that, and then
it's my kid's
what's interesting? A lot of people get other dogs.
She used that
or pets,
language.
Mm-hmm.
It's my baby, you know?
Other people get dogs and cats after their dogs dies because they're so used to caring for something that vacuum in their life of missing that responsibility actually.
Aside from the responsibility, there's a huge mila to having something that loves you unconditionally.
Well, that too. Because it's a very service relationship. You always feel good. It's only positive.
Only positive. It's not only positive. Right? When a dog shits on in your house, you're not so happy about that.
Yeah, but you know it's a dog, and you don't get mad that it's a dog.
Exactly. Unless
It's a
you
dog.
do, but then you have to work on yourself.
Yeah, because then you're upset that a dog is acting like a dog and not like you.
Right. Exactly. No, that's exactly right. So you need to be able to work on yourself. There's again, it's a, you know, you don't necessarily have to be selfless like you do with a child because dogs don't have needs like kids have needs and wives have
Sure.
needs. But there is that level of
Care.
dependency
Yeah.
and care that creates that love relationship. And Rabbi Meyer didn't understand that. He didn't
That's
get
a
it. He
crazy
had
thing for him
never,
not to get, though. That's
he had
weird.
never had a pet before, ever.
Yeah,
He'd
but he
never
must have had a
pet.
family. He must have understood the concept of care. Or how about this? If you
He
teach,
understood what I
if you
said.
teach a kid, you feel like you love that kid. Like
Absolutely.
if you're a
He
kid's
got that.
teacher,
He got that. He got
so
that.
what's not to get?
He got it, but he didn't associate it with animals. He just didn't. He didn't make that association until I made it evident to him.
Yeah.
As soon as it became evident, he questioned whether or not it should be halakhically viable to have pets. Can you put yourself
In a
in a
situation.
situation where you're required to love an animal, lahavdil, like a child, knowing that that animal only has a 6 to 12 year life expectancy?
Yeah. What does that mean? What if you had a kid and your kid could only live? I mean, could only live 10, 12
But
years.
you don't have a kid knowing your kid's going to live 10 years. You expect your kid to outlive you.
Yeah. But if
Right?
it doesn't, you're not upset that you had the kid.
No, 100%. But you don't go into the relationship with that understanding.
Yeah.
I'm going into the relationship with a dog.
Understanding.
I know that my poodle
Well,
has
you
an
could,
8 to 10 year
definitely
life
argue that
expectancy.
you would. You don't know what's going to happen down the line. You don't know how attached or not you're going to be. You don't know whether you're going to keep the dog or give it away. You don't know whether the dog's going to be a nightmare or not. Like you don't know. There's a lot of things you don't know when you're starting that you don't necessarily have to say
Yeah,
that
but
you're giving yourself up
again,
to prepare for.
you go into the relationship with the expectation that things are going to work out.
Yeah, but you don't go into expecting for it to die in 2 years and for you to be devastated.
But
Or 5 years.
you go into it with the expectation that
That
the
you'll
dog's going
outlive
to die
it.
in 10 years and
Yeah,
you're
that
going to
you're
be
going to outlive
devastated.
it, right?
You're going to outlive that dog.
Yeah, but I don't think you think about
Or
that
that
because otherwise
cat.
you wouldn't get it.
Yes,
You
you
wouldn't.
would.
You
Everybody
think so?
knows. Yeah. Yeah, everybody knows. Everybody knows. And you build walls because of that. So unless you're people like my wife who love it like a child and honestly feel
Yeah.
love for that animal like they do. I mean, my kids were jealous of Prince because
That's crazy.
there were times when they are very verbal about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how did your wife respond to that?
She agreed with them.
She's like, you're right. Good woman. I say no, she's a good woman. Seriously, it's a good woman. It's a good woman. She's self-aware enough to say, you know what, you're right.
Yeah.
You know.
She's like, I love him and he can do no wrong, and you guys are imperfect.
So funny.
Yeah, I mean, she loves her children.
Yeah, I enjoy. You don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to clarify.
There was joking and there was truth.
Yeah.
You know.
Sure. Well, it's much more superficial relationship. One thing that about pets is that they don't doesn't have the depth or the nuance of getting to know someone. You get to know someone and they're comfortable around you and they open up a whole new aspect of their personality around you.
Dogs are the same.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, my dog will act differently around me than anybody else.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, my dog knows the sound that my car makes when I pull up to the house.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you know, my car makes a lot of noise.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, we have an app on our phone, Life 360, where you can track your kids, and it tells you when your kids get home with a little beep or whatever. The dogs knew the sound
Of
on
that
the phone,
beep.
and they knew that the kids were home when my phone made a sound.
No way.
And they ran to the door, and they were super excited. And they don't. When someone else comes to the door, they'll bark and
That's really
do all
interesting.
And when it was the kids, they were just tails wagging, whole body wagging, like super excited. You know, dogs are different around their owners than they are around other people. You pause it after you do that.
Yeah, sure. Okay. I was in Ireland, and we did an Irish distillery tour, a whiskey
You like
tour.
Irish whiskey?
No,
Neither do I.
but it does taste completely different when you put a couple of drops of water in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just opens up it opens up aromas, it opens up flavors, and it just makes it feel a little bit
I'll
less.
cut the burn a little bit. I mean, it's an improvement, but an ice cube is way too
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
way too much. A couple
And
drops
also,
of water is
I don't
fine.
drink very. I
That's why I feel
really.
like room temperature tastes better than cold.
Yes, I
Cold
agree. Cold removes flavor.
removes flavor. So
Totally.
that's why I don't like putting ice in whiskey.
So, again, it usually doesn't remove so much flavor that I can't enjoy it. Um, it's just that usually when I have when I have it straight, it's so much that it's hard to discern the taste.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because you have the sharpness of like a high ABV alcohol, whatever it is. But I the High West is one of the only bourbons that I like.
Bourbon. It's a rye.
No, there's a rye. That's why I like it, I guess. But
I like rye better than bourbon.
rye's sweeter, right? Rye's made of
Sweeter.
corn.
No, bourbon's made of corn. Bourbon is typically sweeter than rye, but rye has more body and flavor, I think.
Yeah.
I like ryes better than bourbons, and the best rye I ever had is the one that I drink up in. It's actually in the distilleries in Clayton, Georgia.
Yeah.
So it's like
Oh, you were telling me about that
it's 5
place,
minutes from
right?
my house. It's called Moonrise. Moonrise. You can find it, and you can definitely order it online.
How many more?
Highly,
There's so many of them that we don't know about.
They're single barrel rye.
What's it called?
Single barrel rye, Moonrise.
Moonrise.
Moonrise single barrel rye. It's $80. It's not cheap.
It's not cheap, especially for a
But
rye
it
bourbon,
is,
right?
but it's a single barrel. It's super high quality, and it's very high alcohol content.
What is it? 90
It's
proof?
it's
No, sorry, not 90 proof. 100. I
yeah,
guess
it's
it would be.
over 100 proof. 60. It's like almost 60% alcohol. 56 or 57.
So it's like 115, 120% proof.
Something like that. Yeah,
Right.
it is. It's really.
Do you drink moonshine?
Really delicious. I did one time. I'll tell you that story.
I went to a moonshine bar in Austin,
I was
Texas.
16 or 17 years old. Oh no, I'm sorry. It wasn't moonshine. It wasn't moonshine. It was Everclear.
Oh, that's disgusting,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
That's not. It's almost the same
Yeah, it
thing,
is.
but
It's like the same thing.
one's
is.
vodka based, I think, right? Everclear is vodka, and moonshine's not vodka. Moonshine is something else. It's another wheat.
It's a potato vodka.
Is it potato?
I think so. Or it could be wheat. I don't know.
I think it's wheat.
It's a moonshine. The reason it's called moonshine is
They make it in the bathtubs under the at night
light of the moon. Yeah.
during the prohibition, right?
Prohibition, yeah, that's why it was called moonshine because they made it at night.
Yeah.
And so it's generally extremely high alcohol, and you have to cut it. It's not meant to drink straight, but people drank it straight. So,
But it was like 100% or 80%. Like it was like 160
yeah,
proof.
like 80%, 90% alcohol.
Yeah, it's crazy.
80, 90% alcohol. Yeah, which is insane.
Or it's rubbing alcohol.
Basically, it smelled like rubbing alcohol. That's for sure. And so,
But you could flavor it. People put berries. People put cinnamon. People age.
you can buy Everclear. You can buy it today in the liquor store.
Well, Everclear is.
Same thing. It's moonshine.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
You positive?
It's 90%.
I'm gonna chat GPT this later.
Everclear is 90%. It's not made in.
Oh yeah, but moonshine and Everclear are not the same alcohol that you make. They're not the same base. They're not the same drink. They're not the same like.
I believe it is.
Yeah?
It is, yeah.
I have to look that up.
Everclear is it's a ridiculously high proof alcohol that is made in the same style of the
vodka.
Moonshine. Yeah. Well, vodka can also be made from wheat.
Vodka's made of potatoes.
No, potato vodka.
Vodka's gluten free.
Vodka can be gluten free.
I'm pretty sure vodka by definition is gluten free.
Potato vodka is different.
So what else is vodka made of?
Wheat.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So how's it gluten free?
It's a different
Tito's is gluten free. It's not potato vodka, is it?
Distillation process.
So it doesn't make a difference if you have a base alcohol that's gluten, you can make something out of that that's gluten free?
I have no idea.
Right? Like can you I know for example like beer that's not gluten free is made of sorghum or quinoa. And neither of those are considered gluten as grains. So it's technically made out of a grain, it's technically a beer, but it's much lighter body, much different taste profile. It's quinoa. It's crazy. Dogfish Head. I don't know if you know that brand. They're famous. They're one of the bigger microbreweries, one of the bigger, and they do a run of gluten-free
Silly me.
quinoa beer, Dogfish Head. Yeah, yeah, they're one of the original breweries. They have two big breweries, and one of them uses shellfish in their IPAs.
Oh no.
Yeah. Or
That's the reason you need a Heckscher for
well, yeah. Well, so it's interesting.
flavored beer.
Because you can have runs of not kosher beer, right? They put like let's say there's a vat that has this beer with shellfish in it. According to the health guidelines, in between batches, you need to burn out that vat, like at temperatures well above, well above koshering status, and so so there are people that will do their homework and say, we based on what, like the same idea of how Chalav Yisrael, which is already a complicated notion, just to get into, but just like how you say that you basically count the fact that there's that regulations are in order such that it's not in the rest of the world's best interest to lie about the quality. It's not in any brewery's best interest to lie about the cleaning process that gets shut down.
Right.
And so if they're so even if they've made a prior batch, what?
We're allowed to rely on their greed.
Yeah, which makes sense because that's the most motivational bottom line thing that there is out there, you know. But
I honestly don't know. What I do know is that there was one time I was 16 or 17 years old, and I was at a friend's house, and he was having a party with a few friends, and he had made some like whatever fruit punch, and he was using Everclear to.
Oh God, yeah.
And I was dared to do to do a shot of straight Everclear, and I passed out. Right.
Yeah, it's sick, right?
It hit me so hard.
I had a shot once also, and it was after like a variety of vodka shots.
I think I could see afterwards. I mean, it was really scary.
It's also terrible going down.
Yeah. Oh, it was not fun.
It's not. You're literally forcing yourself. You're forcing yourself to just consume poison. Like your body hates it, and your taste buds hate it, and like you're just like, let's do it. Like it's part of it.
Let's do it. Right. It's part of the growth curve.
Yeah, alcohol has fallen out of popularity.
Weed
Recently, yeah, for weed, which is really interesting. I think that a lot of people kind of got sick of of multiple generations of alcoholics. I think it really pervades society.
I don't know.
It's associated with everything. Alcohol is associated with sports. Alcohol is associated with holidays. Alcohol is associated with family. Alcohol is associated with having a hard day. Alcohol is associated with a bonfire. There is, you can pair alcohol.
You know my theory?
Yeah.
My theory is that today's generation is all about not doing. Whereas when I grew up, it was important to have a goal, have a destination. You have a plan.
And you have to meet it unconditionally.
Right. And whatever it takes to get there, you get there. And I'm still that way. You set different things in place so that you have the best chance for success.
Yeah.
And I think today's generation would rather just sit on the couch and do nothing. And marijuana.
Well, from my experience,
from
my experience as someone that smokes more than drinks, I find that the reason recently why the last couple of years why I prefer smoking and drinking is when I drink, I don't like the way I interact with people.
Really?
The way I become.
You and I only drink, and I think you're fine.
Well, yeah. But by the way, you and I've only drank a lot with you a few times, and those conversations have been like I've walked away from this conversation thinking I could have articulated myself better. I could have been more eloquent about the points I was trying to make. There are a couple of conversations that for example, I remember you and I had a conversation about selfishness and selflessness, and that there's something in between the two, right? Selfish is trying to take from, like trying to get something that you could supply from other people to their detriment,
Hmm.
Selflessness, I think, is not caring for yourself. And then there's having a sense of self, which is almost like aware of what you need, and then and that allows you to kind of be healthy, but also help you balance the the complicated process between am I for myself, am I for other, or am I here to help other people?
I don't necessarily know that there's a strict dichotomy there, but I think that
Right,
it's a
but
continuum.
philosophically, you and I have discussed that, and I remember that we discussed that after we drank a lot that time, and I remember
Sounds like us.
not being able to get that, but I remember not being able to get that point across to you as
Uh-huh.
well,
Right.
and I
That was
find myself to be
that
much
was
more open
that
minded
was
when
one of
I'm not drinking.
the barrel conversations we had
Yeah, that's one of our
way out over
best. Correct. That was. Oh, did I ever tell you what happened with those barrels?
No, whatever happened?
So
I'm surprised that I didn't see them back here.
yeah, so what happened was I was gonna get into my friend Kiwi, and he came over to he came, and they were waterlogged. They were stuck there because they didn't move in years, right? So he came over with the drill and he drilled a hole in the bottom of the barrel. He drilled, right? He didn't drill.
He drilled.
Drilled the hole, and so we kept it a couple minutes. Water came pouring out. It was really waterlogged, and then finally we pick it up to start moving it because he was going to take it.
And they fell apart.
It is no thousands and thousands of what we thought were termites, but carpenter ants.
Oh my gosh.
And
They were
dude,
infested?
it was on the bottom because they've been there for so long. When they get wet wood attracts carpenter ants.
Oh, wow.
And
That's crazy.
dude, I lost my mind,
Scream like a
dude.
girl.
I screamed like a girl. Dude, aside from the fact that I was screaming like a girl, they were crawling. Like, I couldn't get them off me fast enough. They
You
were
picked it up
crawling.
with them on you, and they
No,
ran off
I
you.
picked it up and they all came running out, and I was wearing slides and socks, and they were climbing up my socks, and they
Oh
were
my
climbing up my
God.
legs. Dude, I was losing my
Yeah, I
mind.
probably
I
would have shit
dumped
myself.
a bucket of bleach, bleach on it, and I texted my neighbor who was a what do you call it, exterminator, and I was like, please tell me these aren't termites. He goes, the carpenter ants. He's like, but it looks like you killed them. What'd you do? And I was like, I dumped a container of bleach on the whole freaking thing, dude. He was like,
And so,
I'm not giving
and
any.
after that, you just threw them out?
I left them there.
Or you just left them?
I left them for the next one to
Alright.
deal with. Which,
I hear.
tell me, right or wrong, I feel a little bad about it, but also,
Yeah, you didn't want to have to deal with it.
what's that line expression for buyer beware?
That's it.
Yeah, I feel bad about that, but I know what to do, dude. I was losing my mind. I was like, I just hope that they just keep it there and don't move it, and they're okay with it. But um,
I love those barrels. They were awesome.
yeah, they're fun.
Yeah.
I have them out here, but it's not. I think these are treated. These are like like they.
They're not the same.
No, they're underneath. There's like a nice ceramic top. I'll show you outside after. There's a nice ceramic top after, but they have the person that decorated has put barrels there too. But I think he treated them beforehand. I didn't deal with them at all. Like someone went. So when I picked them up, there's a guy that lost his job, a Hispanic guy in Miami during COVID. He lost his job. He didn't know how to have any way of making money. So he just decided he was gonna. He flew to Kentucky, picked up a U-Haul or like a rent a car, and went to different distilleries and just asked them for the extra barrels that they were going to throw away. He brought them back to Miami and he just sold them on Facebook Marketplace for 50, $100 a barrel.
Mm-hmm.
And that was his little business during COVID. Like he couldn't get a job and he lost and his business shut
Whatever it
down.
takes.
Whatever it takes. But he but I'm just buying like a legit just a regular a barrel from the garbage of a dispensary, a distillery rather, and but you gotta like when people keep them used as furniture, they treat them and they make sure that they're like taken care of. I didn't do that, I'm sure that sure that I could have.
I mean, I've seen some really cool upcycling situations where they make full bars, where they have arches, they open them up.
They do amazing things.
Beautiful.
But you have to be
lighting.
you have to be a craftsman to do that.
I've
Like
seen some beautiful, and they're expensive. They're thousands of dollars.
yeah,
They're
because of the craftsmanship.
gorgeous,
Yeah,
gorgeous.
it's amazing.
Yeah, and so unique. It's so
Do you
special.
you ever go to speakeasies?
No.
You should find speakeasies to go to around here, dude. They're so much fun. Like these quiet little bars that like you wouldn't be able to find unless you look them up, and like, you can't just like walk into them on the
What
street.
makes it a speakeasy?
I think I think the definition of speakeasy also came from the Prohibition, where they weren't allowed to sell alcohol and they would serve the alcohol in teacups in case anyone walked in, and they put a tea kettle on your plate on your table, and they give you teacups, but they'd fill the teacups up with alcohol, and it was supposed to be speakeasy because you weren't supposed to
You were
talk
supposed to
about where
keep
you got
them.
it from. You're supposed to keep it quiet,
Ah, gotcha.
and it would be all these kind of hidden bars that like no one would know, all these little establishments that the authorities would have no way of recognizing or
I guess
finding.
what makes something a speakeasy today? I mean, I remember
Oh, so for today,
term.
so basically,
I
essentially,
mean, it's a hidden
it's
gem.
a hidden bar that serves cool quality cocktails that doesn't advertise themselves as a bar to come to. Like you have to go out of your way and find it. Um, it seems like a little bit of a silly business method.
Yeah, it doesn't seem. I mean, you're surviving on the expectation of word of mouth.
Yeah,
I understand if that's the nature of the business, that word of mouth and your business grows organically in that sense, that's a very positive thing.
yeah,
That
but
when you can base
you
it, but
it feels like you're
if
making
you're
your
not
life intentionally
advertising at
hard on
all,
yourself. Yeah,
yeah,
no, so a lot of them will come up on Google and stuff like for example, I was in Dublin and I looked up non-touristy pubs to go to, right? Because I was
really,
like
yeah,
I'm so sick and tired of meeting every other American from
for
Texas and
sure.
Ireland, and it took me to this bar. We walked off the main street in Dublin. There's like a main, it's called Temple Bar. It's the main area where there's just, and that's where all the live music is. That's where the crowds are. That's where, dude, Guinness flows like the Nile River, dude. It's crazy. And you see everyone, 15 to 95 years old. It's just everyone is just sitting and drinking Guinness all day there. And right off there it says, you're going to come to a red door. There's no sign. You knock on the door, and
What's the best way?
if they're not full, they let you in, right? So they open. So I knocked to my friend,
Come
and
back tomorrow.
they let us in. Come back tomorrow. Yeah. I bet it's a little more Scottish though. There's a
Okay.
difference between the Scottish and the
Yeah,
Irish,
there
by
is.
the way. But and so we knock on the door, and they take us into this, and they walk us upstairs and then downstairs, and it turns out that because it was almost like it looked like a townhouse. There's three different levels with three different bars on each different floor.
Different company, like different.
No, all under the same organization, the same
Okay.
bar, the same speakeasy, but they're like, we want each floor to have its own service and its own bartender and its own full bar, so you don't have to wait and for us to run up and down stairs and deal with
Sure.
everything. And their cocktail menu was a book, and it was cocktails through the ages, and you'd pick the timeline, so it's like 1800 to 1900, and it's like all like simple syrup and like different types of alcohols because that's all they had.
Sure.
And then there was the Casapla, then there was the margarita page, and then like all different variations. And there's the 18 the bourbon page with like different types of old fashions, and then there was the 1900 to 1950s, and then there's like the Caribbean style page, and then there's a book and dozens and dozens and dozens of cool cocktails, and the waiter would either make a recommendation or like you would just go through whatever style you like, and
Mhm.
it was so cool,
Yeah,
dude.
I'm an old-fashioned guy.
You like old fashions?
An old-fashioned guy who likes old
I love
fashions.
so
It's my
Crazy
favorite
Uncle
thing.
Mike's had this $7 old fashioned during happy hour,
Hmm.
and just great bitters and
You have a
great.
smoked old-fashioned?
Yeah, I have. I paid. You know how much I
That's
paid for it,
yeah, I know.
dude.
They
They
do.
take it. They charge you $35 for the cocktail.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
in
I
downtown
mean,
Disney.
so well, there you go. I had I
They
mean, I
took a
went
piece
out
of
to a
wood. They burnt. They took the
I went
torch.
into a, I went into a fancy. I met some friends. My friend sold a company for $900 million, and
What?
he's the as a nine. He sold it for $900 million. It's not his company, but he was the broker. So and he
Oh,
took
you were telling me about this friend. He
yeah
helps people sell their businesses,
yeah
right?
he's a business broker,
I wonder what do you call. I want to meet
and
him.
so
I'm gonna get in touch
he
with him.
is a he's brilliant, and he does big time business. I mean, he's one of the biggest in the game, selling $1 billion businesses.
What he does is he helps.
So
What
he's the shotgun.
he helps if someone has a business and they want to get out or they want to sell it.
He'll find a buyer, or he has somebody who's looking for a particular type of business, and he'll go find that business for them.
Yeah, it's really
And so
cool.
he's a shotgun. That's what he
It's
does.
awesome.
And so whenever he does really well, he comes to Miami. He goes to Miami Beach for like with his wife
To celebrate.
to celebrate.
Yeah.
And they go to all the restaurants and they do like they're from Colorado. There's one restaurant in the whole state.
Yeah.
So they come here and they do the whole thing. They stay for whatever 4 to 6 days or something like that. Usually not Shabbos. And then, although we've invited
And they'll
them,
just party.
obviously, and they party and they go out to dinner every night and they go shopping and they go whatever, and they always invite us out.
So much fun.
It is so much fun. And we go to a really fancy restaurant and we go back to this hotel for drinks. And he's staying in one of the, like
The suites or whatever, yeah.
Blue or one of the big fancy hotels with like Lamborghinis in the driveway, one of those.
Yeah.
And-
But half of them, the people are renting for the day because they land in Florida, they go to the airport,
Right.
they spend $200 on renting a Lamborghini for 24 hours.
$200.
You think it's more?
Oh yeah, it's probably like $2,000.
To rent it for the day?
Yeah, for 2 days. It's a minimum $800 a day, $900
Yeah?
a day. Yeah, minimum. That's
Is it mostly because insurance, you
for
think?
sure. Yeah, no, it's you're renting a $500,000 car.
Right.
So yeah, it's gonna cost you. Yeah, it's probably like $2,000, something like that.
Right.
So the presentation of this smoked old fashioned was a thing of legend. It
Yeah.
was so nice. They came out. They had this. It was like a glass case. The whole thing was filled with smoke.
So cool.
Filled with smoke, and it was like
They pre-torched it before they brought it
yeah,
out.
Yeah, they cooked it beforehand. It was
Yeah.
and when he opened it up, the smoke just like poured out on the table.
Man.
And the whole thing was like lined, like crusted with gems on the inside.
So sexy.
So it was and it was in this really sexy, like like a martini style glass.
Yeah. And then it like willows up through the glass.
It was so freaking cool.
But by the way,
cool.
it's all
But it was
presentation
worth
because
$35.
But it didn't
No,
taste that smoky though. Like the smoke didn't
It was
stick.
really smoky.
Yeah?
It was smoky.
Mine didn't stick, dude.
Oh no, it was definitely smoky. They made it right. It was really good. So the way I used to make smoked drinks, any drink that was smoked, is I would just invert a glass over it, and I would just take like those wood stirrers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would just light 2 or 3 of those, and I'd stick it up under there.
That's so cool.
Lit, and then I'd put the glass over it, and then it would go out.
Yeah.
And then it would smoke.
Oh, cool.
And you would see it, and it would smoke on the whole thing.
Can I do this like with this kind of plate at home?
Yeah, for sure.
I could just put a couple and just make a smoked drink?
Yeah, absolutely. No question. Super easy. You
Huh.
just take it. You just take the thing. You lean it up against the glass. Lean the thing. Then you invert a larger glass.
So let's say I put a couple of matches on this plate. I like
not
that.
matches. Can't use matches because they have sulfur. That's toxic.
Right.
So what you're going to do is you light a wooden stirrer.
Okay.
You light the wooden stirrers and you let them burn a little bit, and then you lay that down or stick it up. I used to stick it up. I used to put one on each side of the glass.
Sure, yeah.
And then I put like 2 or 3 or 4.
How many years did you do this for?
I was a bartender for 7 years, but I only worked like the real nightclubs for like 2 or 3 years. Where I was doing making
2 or 3 years is a long time.
Yeah, but it wasn't like full time.
Yeah.
I mean, when I would bartend, I would get like 1 or 2 jobs a month, kind of thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, doing that like at the fancy clubs, like the nightclubs when I was doing mixers.
Was that fun?
But it was work.
It was work.
So much work. Yeah, you're sweating the whole.
Were people tough?
Yeah. No, they're mostly nice. They're mostly nice.
Isn't it?
Because they're there to have a good time,
Yeah, but it's also interesting because there's such a psychological shift with like.
It was also a different
authority.
age.
I know, but like the person behind the bar, or the person on the stage, or the person in the cockpit, or the person like wearing the uniform, like has like this like differentiating feature about them that like you don't like. Most people are afraid to confront or challenge them. Like if you're like making the cocktail, like this is what the cocktail is, and the person's not happy, they're like, okay, thank you very much, because like you're the guy behind the bar and you're the guy making the rules. There's a couple of squeaky wheels, a couple of people that'll complain and make a big deal out of
every
things.
once in a while you get a Karen, but
yeah.
But for the most part, people were nice and happy, and I had a heavy pour, so that's how you get better tips.
Yeah.
And the best way to get
Did anyone complain on the management side for being
at a nightclub?
They don't care.
Yeah, no, they don't care. No, if you're in a bar.
I've heard that they lose money in nightclubs a lot of the time because it's hard to find honest bartenders. And they're always pouring drinks for girls and friends and whatever.
They had video, they always had video of what was going on in the bar. And if you have a heavy pour, they're not going to say anything to you. But if you're giving away a lot of free drinks, they're going to notice. And there are people who are watching you. They have spies.
Yeah, I have my step
They have
grandfather
spies.
owned
They
a bar
hire
in
spies.
Vegas. He's like, I lost my shirt with the bartenders,
Yeah.
and he goes, and the second I'll get rid of one, the next one will come in and do the exact same thing. He's like, there's nothing you can do about it. And he goes, even if the guy got fired, like you're in Vegas, like the most attractive women in the world are constantly coming there to party, and like you're a bartender who's 25 years old, that's a Nevada local, and like
Right.
you've never seen a woman look like this before coming to you for a drink, and you're like, have some tequila,
Right.
like have a great time, do whatever you want,
Right. So the way you have a heavy pour is you use the double-sided
Yeah.
bar, and you just pour it in, you let it go a little bit over, and they
Yeah,
tell you
yeah,
that,
yeah,
but
yeah.
that's so minimal. But it adds up over the night. But so what's it going to cost? An extra bottle over the course of the night?
Yeah, and you're making
You
so much in
know?
every
And
pour.
I'm charging $6-7 for a shot that's costing the bartender 70 cents. He's
Yeah.
making 10 times. He's making 10 times.
That this doesn't bother you to go to bars? Oh, you don't go to bars.
No, I don't go to bars. Partly because I know like it would drive me crazy when I was working in the country club that, we figured out the cost of the drinks based on what we paid for the bottle. So the cost of the drinks would change monthly.
Really?
Yeah.
So you get a bottle
had
of
to figure it
Smirnoff,
out.
and the bottle of Smirnoff was $12, right?
Okay.
Or $10,
$10.
and because you're getting a wholesale, I guess.
So
And
that I had to sell that bottle for $100.
that bottle of Smirnoff is worth $100.
That bottle's miserable when I sell it by the shot. So there's roughly 20 shots in a bottle. So
Is that how it works? Really?
roughly.
Wow. And then 1.75.
It's 40 shots.
There's
More
more.
than that.
It's got to be more. It's got to be
Yeah, it's
probably
more.
55 or probably 55
No,
or 50.
It's like 50 shots, something like that.
Because it's just.
Yeah, but we only bought 750s. I mean, those we always had.
Oh, you always bought the big ones.
750s this size.
Oh, 750, the smaller ones.
Yeah, the standard, because that's the size of the racks that we had in the bar to store everything.
And for presentation, it looks better.
It does,
But
for sure.
when you're getting that 1.75, it's only a couple of dollars more. So that presentation must make a big difference. No one wants to see the shot poured out of a jug.
Plus, we didn't use crap. Like it's a country club. It was all top shelf. Even the stuff, even the low end stuff, like the gin or whatever. We never used like really low end gin. I mean, everything was midline or
Gin ranges from like 20 to like $80, generally speaking.
I don't know what it costs now. I don't drink gin.
I have an uncle that loves gin. He also loves jazz. I feel like they have to go together, right?
Do they? I feel like gin is an old person's drink. Like my grandparents drank gin, kind of.
It's clean. It's very clean.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's very light. It's very like whiskey sits in you, I feel like. Gin is much lighter.
It's very
Breezy.
it's got like an olivey kind of flavor to it. Like almost like a
Do you think it's association with gin and tonics?
I don't know.
That almost always have olives?
No, I feel like it's like a you ever had like capers?
No.
You ever had capers with lox and the little green berries that they serve with lox and bagels?
No, it's not my thing.
No, yeah, so I feel like they have it has a similar kind of
Profile.
flavor.
What's gin made out of?
What are they called? It's a kind of berry.
It's a berry?
Yeah.
That gin is made out of?
Yeah.
But it's so dry.
Yeah, it is very dry. I don't remember the name of it.
I have to figure it out. I'll look it up after.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just I mean, it's just not my flavor. People like it though. My friend Ari is my age.
I like rum more than gin.
Yeah, me too. Rum is great.
Rum is great. I don't drink it very often. And you know what else I had for the first time recently? I had ice cold Jaeger.
Unless I have mojitos. Mojitos is a rum drink that I drink a lot.
You make them yourself?
Mojito. Yeah, I make a good mojito.
Yeah, you do?
Yeah.
You get fresh mint?
Yeah, fresh mint.
Simple syrup?
Lemon. Yeah. No, I don't use any syrup.
Mojito is rum, seltzer, lime, and mint.
That's it.
Yo, I love Tom Collins.
Tom Collins are great.
Tom Collins is my favorite. That's also a rum-based drink, right?
It's a rum drink. Well, no, it could be. You could have vodka also. Tom Collins.
And that would be rum or vodka seltzer, lime, and simple syrup, I think.
Yeah, there's another drink. I think it's triple sec.
Or triple sec.
Vodka.
I had a friend in college. His name was Austin, and he used to have. He had a bar in his apartment, and all the apartments were one-bedroom apartments, and so everyone just lived there. You know, everyone just had their own lives there. It was awesome. It's very cool. And he had a bar, and then every Friday night he'd have an expo board up with 3 drinks of the night that he would make any 3 cocktails. That anyone that walked in could just get. He would just make the cocktail for.
That's cool.
And yeah, anytime I was trying to impress a girl, you know, like you go from room to room, and you're like, oh, this guy's got Bud Light, this guy's got Bud Light, this guy's got Smirnoff. I was like, let me show you where the real stuff is. You go to Austin's room, and you got like Sex on the Beach, or you know, Sea Breeze, or Tom Collins, and I'm like, and Austin, you know, and Austin would look at me, you know, and Austin would often feel out the situation without me having to say anything, and he was awesome at hiding the alcohol taste. Hiding the alcohol content, so he can make a strong drink that you could not tell was a strong.
That's what mixers are for.
Yeah, and you know, and because he was kind of a quiet guy himself, he was on the DL.
Long Island iced tea, right?
Yeah, there's a poison.
Those are so much alcohol.
Those are crazy, and everyone makes them too. Yeah. Everyone's like, you know what? For this, like, if you want to get fucked up, just get fucked up. You want to throw together all the alcohol you want for $15 and like take it with a little bit of Coke, like
that's it.
Just do it, dude. And everyone got on board with it at the same time. It was so funny. I had a Long Island iced tea. I think it was only one. I may have had two, but I think it was only one before a flight, and it completely dehydrated me, and I fainted on the airplane.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a crazy experience. I felt like I had to go to the bathroom. I felt like I had to crap, and I got up, and the plane had just landed, and like, you know, like everyone's standing up to get off. I'm like, guys, I just need to get off. And then like everything just went black, and
you woke up on a gurney.
No, I came to a second later. Yeah. I came to a second later, in the seat, or on the seat or whatever. But you know, I had no idea what happened. It was crazy.
Obviously passed out.
Yeah, it was one of those.
Was anyone worried about you, or nobody even noticed?
No, the flight attendant noticed. I got off the plane relatively quick, but there wasn't anything to do. Like, I didn't want to go to. I'm not calling an EMT. I'm not going to a hospital. You know, I mean, I'm going home. You know. But
it's interesting that it took that long to affect you. I wonder if it was related.
I crashed on the flight.
Oh, you did? You passed out? I
slept. I had it in the airport. I was coming from Miami back to New York.
It's unlikely that one Long Island iced tea would have that effect on you. I mean, it's what at best it's 5 ounces of liquor.
I know, but I think that traveling is.
It is. It does. It has an effect.
Flying dehydrates you, I think.
Elevation in general has an effect. Like, you know, you could drink a lot less in
the air.
When you're in the mountains. Also, I'm from Denver, so you know when you go up to the mountains and you have a beer, like you feel it.
Yeah.
You really do. You feel it. You're like, I only had one beer. Like, holy cow, I feel high.
Yeah.
And it's not entirely unpleasant. You know, like it's a nice thing.
It's not entirely unpleasant, but it's not.
Oh, when you're skiing, you don't necessarily.
Yeah.
You know, it's not necessarily the ideal skiing situation. But I had my last Long Island iced tea when I was 18 years old.
That was it? You haven't had it since then?
No, I used to drink them when I was in high school, you know, at parties, football parties.
Yeah.
And I went on a booze cruise with my friend. He was a veterinary technician at Old Creatures.
Cool.
And they had their party, and I was drinking. It was a booze cruise out of Freeport, Long Island, and I had all of these. I was drinking Long Island iced teas along with everyone else on the cruise, and I got. So I don't remember any of it.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I was so drunk. Apparently, I hooked up with a nurse. I don't even remember. And I had, like they had that at one point during the cruise, they stopped the music and put like spotlights on me because I like power vomited over the side of the thing.
Oh my goodness.
And they thought that I'd fallen in the water. So somebody shouted, "Man overboard."
No way.
And they stopped the music and put the spotlights on me.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was mine. So after that happened, and I woke up the next morning I had taken my mom's minivan to the parking lot
Yeah.
of Freeport, and I woke up like just passed out in the trunk area of my mom's minivan.
No
I
way.
had
You had
just
no idea what
fallen
happened.
asleep. I didn't remember anything. I remembered going there, and I
And you haven't had Long
remember
Island
the
since
party
then.
starting. I haven't had one since then. That was it. I was done.
That sounds reasonable.
I was like, I'm never doing this again. That was a mistake. And I had like whatever, five, six.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I had a lot. It's like a bottle of liquor, like a whole.
I can't drink. I can't drink like that anymore.
It's not a bad thing. You shouldn't drink like that.
It's not a bad
It'll
thing.
kill your liver.
I think about the drinking I did in college. I'm like, how did I do that?
Yeah, me too.
I'm thinking like, how do my body support that? How do I not feel?
Because we're young and we destroy our bodies, and your body heals. Thank God your body.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah, thank God your body heals. Yeah, you can really do damage to yourself. I mean, even people who smoke for 30 years and their lungs are black, and then 30 years, then they quit, and 30 years later their lungs are clear.
Yeah. So there's also something else about once your body's actually become dependent on smoking. Like that, if like there's at a certain point, if you're like 70, you've been smoking for 30 years, the doctor I don't think will tell you to quit.
Mm. Yeah, I mean,
Because
how much
cutting, yeah, but also because cutting it off is such a shock to your body that it actually can be more detrimental than like once you're 70, you're 70, and then like and that shock to your body might cause more immediate trauma than continuing slowly throughout, for whatever time you have left.
Really?
I've heard that from a med school student. He could be making it up.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never heard that. It could be. I don't know.
Like, because I told him I have a Yemeni uncle who's like 90 and he was in great shape for his entire life and he smoked and drank every single day. Every single day. And like at a certain point he got health conscious, quote unquote, and started smoking cigarettes through a filter.
Can I tell you? Okay, finish your story.
That's it. And he's in great shape. He's 90 and he's healthy and he's got,
Right. So there's this guy. I don't know if I ever told you about Mr. Berman.
No.
Mr. Berman he was not 90. He might have been 98 or 99. He was a World War I veteran.
Wow.
He was born in the 1890s.
Wow. How'd you know him?
And he was a member at the country club where I was a bartender.
Wow, that's so cool.
And Mr. Berman was this old. I don't know if I think he was Jewish. I mean, he had a Jewish name, but I don't know if he was Jewish, but I think he was Jewish.
Berman sounds pretty Jewish.
Yeah, I think he was Jewish. And he came in every single day, and he lived about a mile from the club, and he walked to the club every day. And then he would always order one drink, and he only had one drink a day, every single day. And during the winter, it was a bourbon Manhattan. And during the summer, it was...
What's a bourbon Manhattan? Yeah, it's bitters, bourbon.
A bourbon Manhattan. Bourbon Manhattan is basically an old fashioned,
but with bourbon.
But right because you can make an old fashioned with bourbon. Typically, it's made with whiskey.
Okay, so what's an old fashioned? What's a bourbon Manhattan?
So a bourbon Manhattan, I believe, has cherry juice in it.
Okay,
it's like a sweeter drink, and so it would be he would always order a bourbon Manhattan, and then he would have a vodka tonic for summertime.
Nice.
With an extra line.
Nice.
1 and 2 lines. I'll never forget. And he'd walk in and he would just sit down at his table, and he always ordered the exact same thing for lunch. He had a soup and half a sandwich. It was always like a tuna fish or like a club sandwich or something like that. And then he would walk home, and he never played golf.
Really? He just came to hang out, have a drink, a sandwich, and go home.
He'd walk to the place. He'd come to hang out. He'd listen to what was going on in the bar. He'd sit by himself.
Really?
Yeah. And
I feel like people don't do that anymore.
That was his routine, and he swore that because he had the same routine and he had a drink every day and he walked a mile a day, that he was going to live forever. And I think it was true. And
he lived close to it.
He was one of the most racist. I'll never forget this one time he came in. There was a guy who came in who was bringing a guest with him. You're allowed to bring guests, And he brought a guest with him, and the guest that he brought was black. We didn't have any black members in the club.
Yeah.
And he brought a black guy in. And Mr. Berman stood up, and I was like, "There's going to be trouble." I turned to one of the waiters. And I'm like, "This is going to be bad." He stood up, and you could see he was like turning red. And from across the bar, he yells, "Who the hell you think you are bringing niggas in
Oh
here?"
my God! Really?
I was like,
How old is this guy?
he
This boy?
did. I think he was 99, maybe 98, 99.
Wow!
Yeah.
Crazy! It's so
It
funny.
was ridiculous.
Oh
It was
my!
ridiculous, and I knew because he would like you. If you heard him talk, like you knew he didn't like black people. Like
That's
it was
crazy.
obvious. He would have referred them as
But
monkeys.
he's born from the 18. He was born in the
Born in
1800s.
the 1890s. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
wild. That's
Yeah.
so crazy,
It's
dude.
absurd. Yeah, he was an old man. He was an old man. So this was probably 93, 94, something like that. That's when I
Yeah.
was. That's when I was working there. I was there till I worked from 93 to 97. So he was there. But I remember celebrating his 100th birthday.
You celebrated 100
I mean, I
birthday.
was there.
Yeah, I understand. Right.
I was working.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. It's a
Yeah.
crazy story. It's
Yeah.
so funny.
He was a funny guy.
Berman. Yeah, it's crazy. Let's wrap this up over here. I think we got well over 2 hours.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's great. I'll send you the first link, and this one, but I'll send you the first link so you can listen because I think that was a lot of fun.
Sure.
And we'll do this again.
Yeah. That's
Always.
good.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We will see you soon. Bye, everyone.